Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Tuesday, the 15th of July, 2025. I'm Graham Hughes. Hello. Welcome to Morning Brew on Politics Social. In the chat, we have Scott and we have Francis and Kate. And we've got Leonora's embroidery journey. We've got Diz in there as well. We've got Francis, Liam. Anna's in the chat. We've got Graham Haller as well. We've got Saz. We've got Elle. Welcome, welcome. One and all you need to do to join our beautiful friends in the beautiful chat here is press the subscribe button. You have to be subscribed to join the chat. That's the only rule. Oh no, there's two rules. Don't be a troll. That's the second rule. Don't forget the second rule because that'll get you, muted and booted. Right, today we're going to be talking about the doom loop. The doom loop. I don't really want to talk about this because I don't want to be all like doom and gloom. I don't think that things are going to kick off. And I could be wrong, but I'll tell you if they are going to kick off, right? If something happens. It's kind of like an incident, an inciting incident, then maybe, right? But generally speaking, British people are a little bit lazy, and a lot of them don't want to go to jail. And what happened last summer when we had these stupid bloody Farage riots caused by Nigel Farage being all Faragey, the guy who runs UKIP, what are they called these days? The Brexit Party. Refuck, that's it. The Refuck fuckers, they're the people who fuck you over. Those riots led to a lot of people who had, decent job, family life, whatever, going to jail very rapidly, very rapid deployment to jail cells. So, might not be doing that again this summer, but you never know. But let's talk about this article that's been in lots of news outlets based on a report saying that Britain is a powder keg at the moment. And, I want to make the argument that the feeling we're all feeling, whether we're going to go out and riot or not, is systemic. And it is been thought out. There's been a roadmap to the point at which we are at the moment. And the roadmap, it's pretty simple. I mean, it's not very complex. You don't need a blackboard full of complicated equations to work it out. It's just you make life a little bit uncomfortable for people. And in that lack of comfort that they have, in that fear, you manage to get them to do things that are against their own against their own betterment, to get them to do things that, are probably not best for themselves. Like vote for Brexit, for instance, or vote for Donald Trump. The Nigel Farage party, the NF party, says Elle. Yes, exactamundo. This isn't inevitable. This is deliberate. This has been deliberately caused by years of neglect by Tory governments, scapegoating like by the likes of Farage and others, and right-wing profiteering. They have made so much money over the last 10 years. It honestly makes my eyes bloody, bleed looking at the stats of how much the rich, the privately educated elite have made out of Stoken division in our society. Pop quiz, mofos. What links party leaders Keir Starmer, Ed Davey, Kemi Badenoch, Nigel Farage, and soon-to-be leader of the Green Party, Zach Polanski? What connects all those five people? If anyone can get it in the chat in 5 seconds, I'll be very impressed. Although, shouldn't be too unexpected knowing who I am. If you've ever watched any of these shows ever before, you'll know I've got a particular bee in my bonnet about a particular thing that we do in the UK, where we give all our power to a particular group of people I'm not part of, and I don't think many of my watchers, listeners, readers, whatever you call yourselves, viewers are, watchers makes it sound like you're watching me from a tree with a pair of binoculars, so let's say viewers. Viewers of this channel are not included in this group, most of us. But yes, private school mafia says Vendetta. Absolutely. Francis says private school. Yeah, and Diz says private school. Yeah, they all went to private school. All of them. All five. All five big party leaders went to private school. Ooh, funny that, isn't it? Given Graham's obsession, the answer is either they're trans or they went to private school. Yes. Well, I mean, rather than trans, I'll say they're TERFs. That's something that I like to talk about a lot because I don't like TERFs. And it's not like I have anything against people who went to private school. Some of my good friends went to private school. Some of your favourite influencers went to private school. However, the system is wrong. But when you have poverty, hate, and a mistrust a general mistrust of institutions and each other, feeding into this vicious cycle, you get yourself a doom loop of division. And, you know, last year's Southport riots were started by Nigel Farage and others based on misinformation from Andrew Tate, a guy who's wanted for multiple crimes. The guy is an absolute freak show without a chin. But young men are pulled into his toxic manosphere and are told that the reason why they can't have a Ferrari is they're not horrible to women enough. Yeah. Andrew Tate's brother's called Tristram. I don't think they went to the local comp. Maybe they did. Maybe he got his head flushed down the toilet a lot and that's why they turned out the way they did. Don't bully kids, because you don't know what's going to happen to them when they grow up. But, you know, by the state of them, they were probably the bullies in that case. You know, and what happened last year, you had hotels attacked, communities terrorized, communities in Southport, right, who were reeling from the deaths of these little girls at a Taylor Swift dance party. And the far-right thugs, led by Farage, or egged on by Farage, decided to go and terrorise the children who survived in those terraced streets of Southport. They marched up and down the streets, taking bricks from people's front. You know, like, I don't think a lot of these Farage types ever lived in a terraced house. They don't know what it's like to live 1 metre from the road, your front door, and then there's the road, right? How like, that makes you feel a little bit vulnerable, a lot more vulnerable than if you've got a massive fucking driveway. You know, a gravel driveway where you come in one entrance and out the other. And you're behind a massive fucking wall, like the privately educated fish woman, if she is a woman, Sharon Davis, who apparently lives behind a massive fucking wall while she's being all turfy. Yeah, privately educated, of course. And she failed to win a medal at the Moscow Olympics, even when 56 other countries boycotted the Olympics that year. Maybe she's not very good. Maybe she's not very good at swimming, and that's why she's so bitter and twisted in her old age. But never mind. Anyway, you know, the idea of being in a terraced house and having a riot going on 1 metre away and people picking up rocks from your front path, from your, like, you know, your metre of path, or, you know, the picking up stones or bricks from your from your front wall, and then lobbing them and screaming obscenities and fighting the police while you are terrified anyway because a killer has just murdered a bunch of children in you know, meters from your home. To do that to them, that takes a sick mind. That takes a sick in mind to do that to those children. I think everyone who went to Southport and rioted on those streets should be put away for a very, very long time. You know, I can sit here and talk to Gareth about custodial sentences and whether they're a good idea and all that kind of thing, but I think there's a rung of hell for those people. I really do. To terrorise already terrorised young children. Yeah. Imagine those kids, like, they were friends, you know, their little school friend being murdered, and then the next night, while you're trying to get to sleep, you know, obviously kids have nightmares, and if it was your mate from school or maybe a sibling, And then people are having a fucking riot outside your house because fucking Murdoch and Farage and Rothermere told them to. I can't, just the feelings I have against these people are something I can't really broadcast on this channel, but you can imagine. Leonora says, US President Donald Trump has claimed that Club World Cup trophy has featured prominently in the Oval Office and will stay there. That FIFA made a copy of the trophy that was awarded to Chelsea after their win in the tournament's final on Sunday. You see him? Did you watch Stateside last night? I ran the video of him pocketing a winner's medal for himself, and he gagged into the picture, the actual picture that Chelsea got of winning, and they photoshopped him out because screw that guy. Christopher Bowles, you stopped describing my house. Literally, path right outside my front door and 1.5 meters out the back door to the other path. Bonus, no gardening required. Yeah, Christopher, I live in a similar house, mate. We've got to step outside. If you take 2 steps outside our front door, you're standing on the road. And in a community where we know each other and our neighbours know each other, and there's honestly, I don't want to tempt fate or whatever, so touch wood and all that. But if anyone tried to climb in through a window at the front of ours, we've got all the terraced houses opposite. Someone will raise the alarm and be like, "Hey, why are you climbing through Graham's window? What are you doing?" So that's nice that we've got the community there. But when you've got people who billionaires who lived in walled properties with gates and panic alarm, panic rooms and all that crap, that they don't understand. They just don't get it. How absolutely terrifying it must have been for the people in Southport living on those streets. Because these people have never lived that life. They just don't know. And this is a big thing of why there's so much division in society. I'm going to come to it in a moment. But, I mean, Britain just didn't just, fall apart. It's been pushed to the edge by political and media forces that who thrive on chaos and division. But this is nothing new. And maybe in some way it's our punishment, collective punishment, which I don't agree with. But we did this. Not just to ourselves, but we did this when we went to other countries. We divided and we ruled. We had different provinces and areas of India, different kingdoms, and areas that were ruled by a Maharaja fighting against another area that's ruled over by some other Maharaja. We like the guy in Fistful of Dollars, No Name Joe, whatever his name is, from Fistful of Dollars, or Jimbo or Red Harvest or whatever you want to look at it. We went in and stoked division between the groups that were already there, and while they were fighting amongst themselves, we stole all their resources, which is exactly what the elites are doing to us now. They're having us fight amongst ourselves, working class versus middle class, the right wing versus left wing. They're having us fight amongst ourselves. And meanwhile, the elites are, clearing up. I mean, they're making so much money. They're having to get fancy new bank accounts at Coots in order just to deal with all the zeros at the end of their bank balances. And if they can't get a bank account at Coots, my God, that's got to be front page news for 5 days, doesn't it? Peter says, Davis, many years later, met Schneider, and she said that she didn't want Schneider's gold medal because Schneider now suffered many health problems from her state-imposed drug use. Martin says, I had to break into a terrace property that the owner had locked themselves out of, smashed the window and the door and reached the latch. No one batted an eyelid, said Martin. Well, I guess it depends where you are. We know our neighbours, and I'm pretty sure they'll say, I'm hopeful they'll say something if anything like that happens. When Trump got home, he photoshopped them out, says Acro Dave. That's very funny and also very true. Peter says, Sharon Davis was beaten by Petra Schneider, a swimmer who later admitted being doped, but it was involuntary state-sponsored doping. Oh, well, maybe that's why she's so bitter. Joanna, if anyone tried to climb through a window in my home, I'll give them a round of applause. Second floor flat. Well, they could have bought themselves a lightweight ladder with them. Dress as a window cleaner. Top tip. US President Donald Trump has claimed that the cup. Oh, I read that one. Divide and conquer always seems to work. Yeah. Not divide and conquer, just divide and rule. Divide and rule. Keep people fighting amongst themselves. So let's talk about the sort of the root causes of this doom loop, because we weren't here in 2010, even after the shock of the global credit crunch. The economy was recovering, and if it continued to recover at the level that it was recovering at the time, our GDP per capita would have increased by 50%. It's actually gone down by 10% in those 15 years since 2010. So let's look at it. We had austerity, Tory austerity. This didn't just mean that the cost of living went up and wages were suppressed. It also meant decade plus legacy of Tory cuts. Libraries were closed. Sure start centres were closed. Youth centres were closed. Community spaces were starved of funding. There was a decline in local transport, policing, mental health services, something that we talk about a lot on this channel. People have retreated into isolation. We've become more atomized than ever before and more argumentative, because when you're online, a line that people write, you can't get the tone, you can't get the cadence. You don't know if they're laughing or joking or just pulling your leg. It's hard to judge, and it's a lot easier to brood over your response instead of just saying the first thing that comes into your head, which is how a conversation works down the pub or in a cafe. And then the cost of living, that has gone through the fucking roof. It means that social contact is a luxury. When you're paying £6.80 a pint, people can't afford to go for a coffee when it's £4.25, for a bloody, a filter coffee. It's just like, it's ridiculous. And many of us drink tea, and we can't go and get tea from these American coffee firms because they don't know what tea is. Americans don't understand tea. They don't have kettles. They have things that warm up the water to 90 degrees. You can't make a decent cup of tea with 90 degrees of heat. They don't know what they're doing, and that's why you can't get a decent cup of tea in any of their godforsaken coffee houses, and which is a disgrace. And this is what I feel Britain should really fight back on. You should be able to go into a cafe and get a selection of decent teas as well as a selection of nice coffee. But for some reason, we tend to shy away from that. And even when we do finally get a cup of tea that is decent, it costs a lot more than it possibly should for a bit of boiled water in a cup. I love the part of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I've forgotten which book it is. It might be Life, the Universe, and Everything. Where it might be the first one actually, where Arthur Dent's trying to explain a cup of tea to an alien. I fucking love that scene. So what, you get these dried leaves from the other side of the world, yeah, and then you put them in boiling water, and then you get some liquid squirted out the bottom of a cow, yeah. Brilliant. Anyway, so this division in the UK has been absolutely 100% manufactured by billionaires. That's what we have to bear in mind, okay? You've got the refuck lot, the far right, and the owners of social media. Refuck UK framing migrants and asylum seekers as threats, weaponizing fear for political gain, Tommy 10 names, Andrew Tate, Loser Fox, turning online hatred into offline violence. Brexit fallout. Brexit has left communities poorer, angrier, and more divided than ever before. We had the fallout between families, neighbours, communities over Brexit, because Brexit has been a very, very bad idea. The only people who wanted Brexit were the people who are quite happy to stay in their village and marry their sister and sit on a wall and, with a bit of straw between their teeth and laugh so hard they fall off the wall. Morons. And the super wealthy, who knew that this would be a great way, a great grift in order to make millions, if not billions, for themselves by manipulating the markets, manipulating currency, by manipulating us all, into fighting amongst ourselves. And now they can charge whatever they like for whatever they like. And there's nothing we can do about it. Look at a Freddo is now 80p. 80p for a Freddo. What the fuck? Seriously, they used to be 8p. And not that long ago. I used to be able to go to the Jacaranda in Liverpool and get a bottle of Stella for £1 not that long ago. I'm not going, oh, it's been 79 years. No, it's not that long ago. And you've got social media profiteering from hatred. X, Twitter, whatever it used to be called, whatever it is called now, has been flagged for posting, right? Over 4,300 posts, right? 4,300 posts inciting violence against Muslims and migrants last summer. Engagement algorithms reward outrage, disinformation, conspiracy theories, putting profit over the safety of our citizens and the safety of our children. And governments are still, successive governments, Labour still, are failing to regulate misinformation as a harm, which is such a dereliction of duty of Labour right now. I know they're doing a few things like really shit. This one sticks in my craw in particular because getting hold of the media and getting hold of social media and how they can manipulate people's ideas, and half the country now truly believes there's an exodus of millionaires. There is no exodus of millionaires, my friends. There is none. Trust me on this. I know I'm just sitting here in our sort of, spare bedroom saying, please, for the love of God, right, do not believe this bullshit. Believe me instead. But I'll tell you what, look it up. All right. I'm not saying do your own research because that's been co-opted by the right, but look into it. That does sound like do your own research, doesn't it? I'm not saying that you should look into it, but you should definitely look into it. It turns out that the whole bullshit about millionaires leaving in droves comes from one bullshit artist's think tank bullshit, which is the methodology. Looking at it is complete bollocks. They looked at some LinkedIn profiles. It's just not true, but it's been repeated so many times in the right-wing press, and then it gets repeated on TV because they read the newspapers and they go, oh, this must be true because it's in the newspapers, and it means that is now formed an idea in people's heads that it's actually true when it is absolutely not true. Before I go on, I'm going to set a goal. Because I'll be very grateful. Because I'll do an extended show. I'll do an extended show. That's what I'm going to do. If you get 10 super chats in, what have we got? I'll say 45 minutes, right? There you go. Start that goal. The reason why, I mean, other than, I need the money to keep the show going, is I feel a bit bad because this morning is the leavers service for my stepdaughter who's leaving little school and going to big school next term. And I usually go to all of her school stuff. But today the service was overlapped with this show. And I had a chat with Kat and I was just like, look, I can just sack it off. I can just sack off the show and come along. And she's like, no, it's your only form of income. So please do the show. So now I'm thinking, well, if I did the show, I didn't get any super chats at all. Oh God, that wouldn't be great. And I'll say to Kat, oh, I think my viewers are sick of me. Hey, Ivan, thank you very much for the £20 super chat. That's very kind of you. Thank you for your stream on Sunday, Graham, about protecting mental health from the news and social media. I relate to it so much. It's still my mission to get this addressed by politicians, the press, and the media. Thank you so much, Ivan. And yeah, keep that your mission because it is important, not just for your own well-being, but also for the well-being of many people, myself included, whose mental health has suffered in recent years because of the onslaught of bullshit, For some reason, Ivan's magnificent £20 super chat there has not been included in our target. It's still on 0. What the hell, target? Come on. Anyway, I'm going to just acknowledge that it should be on, 2 already because we've got another one, which is which is from Sarah Davis. Thank you, Sarah. That's so kind of you. £2 super chat there. Have a chat. Keep going. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Sorry, I don't mean to like. I feel like I'm. Give me money. Give me money. I'm gonna make you feel bad for the rest of the day. No. But yeah. The thing is, I mean, I've set this up to be at 9 o'clock every morning. Or a couple of minutes past 9 o'clock each morning, usually. I do think it's important that we keep to the schedule. At least I have one thing on here that is always, a little constant. My favorite episode of Lost, the constant. We need constants in our lives. I think I like the I like the routine. Strangely, as someone with ADHD, I like the routine. So I've been just as a little side note, little personal side note. I've been plotting away my trip to Bogenville. What's Bogenville, Graham? I hear you ask. Bogenville is going to be the newest country in the world. It's planning to announce its independence from Papua New Guinea on the 1st of September 2027. And I'm planning to go there, overland, from John O'Groats all the way to near the Solomon Islands, and travel there overland in the Odyssey, Bogenville or bust, and it'll be a great opportunity. It's 2 years away. It'll give me a good reason to get going with editing the original Odyssey videos back and putting them online, so that people get to experience what my original journey was like, and also to set a little tradition where when a new country comes along, I travel there without flying, which would be fairly easy if, arguably easy if Somaliland gets independence or Greenland gets independence. New Caledonia might be a little bit more tricky, but, I'm prepared to give it a go. But what I love about what's happened in Bogenville is that it is literally the furthest place I could think of getting by public transport. I think that I can get there all the way, even not through Russia and Iran, because obviously they're at the equation. So I've been plotting my journey already, because I like to plot these things in advance, and I'm really excited about it. And the route I'm going to take is going to take me on public transport all the way, and it shouldn't have to take a cargo ship. I shouldn't have to take a yacht or hitch a ride on a sailboat or anything like that. It should be public transport. I think, and here's the challenge, friends. I think that I can make it from John O'Groats to Bogenville for the 1st of September 2027 completely on scheduled ground transport. Ground and sea. Public transport. Grounded public transport. So yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. So please join me for that. Damien, I'm off to Timbuktu. Ooh, any advice? So you're going, if you're flying into Mali, then you're all right. But the way I would go to Timbuktu, I probably wouldn't go down through Algeria. I think I would much rather go down through Spain to Ceuta, into Morocco. Then make sure you can get a visa on the border, get into Mauritania, travel down through into Senegal, and then across from Senegal to Bamako, the capital of Mali, and from there you can get transport back up again to Timbuktu. I think that would be the easiest way to do it, or the safest way, rather than going through the Sahara, which can be quite dangerous at times, not least because it's the freaking Sahara Desert, and also there were some rebels running around causing trouble. I have just got not a super chat, friends, not a super chat, not a mega chat, friends. Andrew Dixon has just dropped in. Yes, indeed. Even though my button isn't working, I'm pressing it frantically. Why isn't it working? Why won't you work? We've had a hyper chat, my friends. A hyper chat. Thank you, Andrew. You are a beautiful man. Thank you so much. That is so incredibly kind for you. I think we've hit our target. And then some. Thank you so much. You've set the goal for teal super chat, says Paula. Yeah, I don't really know what. Okay, it's the color, isn't it? It's the color of the super chats. Thank you so much, Paula, and thank you to SG as well. That's so exciting. Would love to contribute to any crowdfund you set up, as Bogenville is one of my favorite flowers growing up. That's very cool. Yeah, I think Bogenville is named after a French explorer who found it, but it's like because you've got Papua New Guinea, and then you've got New Britain, New Ireland, and then the next island along in the chain. It actually looks part, or should be part, of the Solomon Island chain, but it's not. It's part of Papua New Guinea for historical reasons, but obviously they want independence because they don't feel like they are culturally linked or linguistically linked, or whatever the link is, to the rest of Papua New Guinea. But I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to the idea of spending 6 weeks traveling down. I'm hoping it's going to take me 6 weeks. If it takes me longer and I don't get there by September the 1st, I will be really pissed. But I think 6 weeks is a good amount of time to get down there. I'll be going via Istanbul across to Georgia, Azerbaijan, boat over, ferry over to Kazakhstan, and then all the way across Kazakhstan into China, then all the way down through China to Vietnam, through Cambodia, through Thailand, get to go to Thailand, maybe stop for a full moon party, which I've never been to. I've been to half moon parties on Koh Phangan, but never full moon. Then down to Malaysia, Singapore, and then over to Palu Batam, which is part of Indonesia. It's just an island a few miles off the coast of Singapore, and once you're there, you can get stamped into Indonesia. From there, I can get a ferry to Jakarta. From Jakarta, I can get a ferry over to West Papua, to a place called Sorong. And from Sorong, I can get a bus to Jayapura on the border with Papua New Guinea. Probably spend a week there trying to get a fucking visa to get into Papua New Guinea, get that visa, and then I would travel to Wewak, but then there's no road between Wewak and Madang, so I'd have to take the ferry. I've got this all in my head. Get to Madang, and then travel down to Leh. And from Leh, I'm hoping there's a ferry to either New Britain, New Ireland, or to Bogenville. I'm sure there will be, because it used to be one country. Surely you have ferries amongst your own islands of your own country. So we will see. So Andrew, thank you so much for that hyper chat, my friend. That is very, really, really kind of you. And that's put a spring in my step. And also, there's a little bit of money towards the adventure. I will be publicising it massively, obviously, when I do it. And I'll be raising money for water aid again, like I did last time. And hopefully I'll have a little bit more of a base, and we'll be able to raise loads more money. I mean, I only raised like about £10,000 or $15,000 when I was doing the original Odyssey expedition. But it's one of those things, like if we could get enough people on board to follow the journey. And what's wonderful about doing it this time is that I'll be able to live stream the whole thing. Like everywhere I am, I'll be able to have my phone out and be going, I am today, I'm in Almaty. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'll be able to do that every day, do live streaming like I wanted to do for the original Odyssey expedition, but the tech wasn't quite there. It is now, and that makes it really, really exciting. And to return to some of these places that I've wanted to return to for quite a while. Rosie, thank you so much for the £50 mega chat. Thank you. Yay. Thank you, Rosie. Graham, with much love and thanks. Oh, Rosie, thank you. Rosie, 2911, you're the best. You are the best. You are absolutely the best that you are. Thank you. You're the best. You're the best. Andrew's the best as well. You're all the best. You're all the best. And it's Elle's birthday. Oh, happy birthday, Elle. Happy birthday. So yeah, I know it's nice to see your name on the screen, but when the money gets that large, it's probably best sent by PayPal, as YouTube sends 30% of it. Yeah, Joanna has got a point there. If you do want to send by PayPal, which means that, and you can set it to friends and family if you want. Just look me up. It's Graham David Hughes. You can swipe it from the bottom of the description if you want. But that's another way of giving. But it is nice to see your name on the screen. And do you know what? I mean, there's a part of me goes, oh well. YouTube takes a chunk of it, but then again, YouTube lets me do this every morning for free. I don't pay YouTube for the privilege. It's just I started looking into podcasts, when I was doing Three Blokes in the Pub. So this is about, I don't know if it's changed now, but this is about 7 years ago when I was doing Three Blokes in the Pub. And They wanted me to pay. If I did more than like 2 hours, if I uploaded more than 2 hours a month or something mad, I had to pay for the privilege of uploading that much stuff. And I'm like, you want me to pay you for the content that I'm providing? Okay. I mean, I don't mind you taking a cut, but me actively paying you? Piss off. So yeah, I never did it. Never did it. Never did the thing. Yeah, happy birthday, Elle. Everyone sing happy birthday. Happy birthday to Elle. Happy birthday to Elle. Happy birthday, dear Elle. Happy birthday to Elle. Hip hip. Oh my God, hedge trimming and leaf blowers, says Diz. I need to trim. I need to trim my hedge. I need to give me bush a good trimming. Yeah. Oh, I hear you. It's sitting down is my limit. What's this? Plumduff. Hello, Plumduff. Graham, is the PayPal account the one where you're not wearing a hat? I don't know. Let me just check on PayPal. I don't know what picture I've got. It's a picture of me. It should be a picture. If you type in Graham David Hughes, it shouldn't come up with anyone else's account. Like, what if we give someone the wrong? What if we get the wrong person the money? What if it goes to a UKipper or a refucker? That would suck the big one. Let me just see. If I search for Graham, can you search for yourself? Graham, do a search. Go to Graham David Hughes, and no, yes, there's two. No, there's two. There's one where I'm not wearing a hat. Yeah. There's also at that Ginger Scouser, which is also me. I do have two PayPal accounts. But yeah, it'll come up with a picture of me. I'm wearing a white t-shirt with a red band here, and I'm not wearing a hat, and I got a shaved head, and it says, "Is this the right person?" And I can click on the other one, and I am wearing a hat, and I'm wearing a blue shirt. So yeah, both of them are me. Graham Hughes. That's me. Graham does friends only. He takes off his hat. That's a good point, actually. It's like I wear my hat so people recognize me. But yeah, if I'm going to be saying this is definitely me, it's like, is it though? Is it? And then I put the hat on. Oh yes, it's you. It's like when Superman takes his glasses off. Oh, it's Superman. Okay, should we talk about what we're supposed to be talking about? We've got completely derailed here. But thank you so much. And especially Rosie and Andrew. Thank you so much for those super chats. That's so kind of you. Okay, so yeah, back to our doom loop and social media profiteering from hate and government failing to regulate. And there is also a mistrust in politics and institutions. MPs kind of like openly admit they're not fixing the problems that we have. The Tories went on and on and on about this being too much immigration while giving out thousands and thousands of visas to people. The Home Office, the government, the Home Office set the number of visas. If they have a problem with people coming over here from other countries to work, they can set the visa number at a lower level. They chose not to do that. They encouraged people from other countries to come here. Why? And they didn't want people from Europe. Why did they want people from Europe coming here and working? Well, because a lot of people from Europe look pretty similar to people who are ancestrally British or Celtic or whatever you want to call us, right? And therefore, they don't stick out like a sore thumb. But people who from other countries, like the Indian subcontinent or sub-Saharan Africa, you can spot them walking down the streets. And if you're a vile little bigoted xenophobe, you can go, "Oh, look, someone from somewhere else here." Ooh. Please. They did it on purpose. They know what they're doing. They're getting the people who vote for refuck all right on the Tories all riled up because they went to the shop and there was a person who was clearly from another country speaking a different language in the shop. And how bloody dare they? You know, that's our job. That's our job, going to other people's countries and we don't speak the language and demanding things. But they're lulled into these lies that the media tell about millionaires leaving, about people stepping off small boats and being given a Ferrari or something, or being given a cushy job in the Home Office. It doesn't happen. If you are right, not feeding yourself, if you're in the hotel and you're relying on hotel food, or like the food that they give you, the catering there, if you're not self-catering, you get about £9 a week. £9 for your family. Meanwhile, we're giving the foreign slime companies, the oil companies, we're giving them massive £1 billion bloody subsidies to drill for more foreign slime. Unbelievable. I'm going to come on to that actually, because the government's just announced I think it's £3,750 towards buying an EV. Friends, please. I'm not an evangelist. I'm honestly, I don't like getting all fire and brimstone about things. I tend to think a lot of the fact that everyone has their own path and everyone has their own way of reaching their goal, whether that be enlightenment or feeling better about themselves or learning to love themselves with all their faults, whatever it is. I know we've all got different paths, but can I just say, if it is possible in any way to get yourself an EV, right, please get yourself an EV. Honestly, I just can't express how much our lives have changed for the better since we got an EV, because I am so much more chilled now when I am in a traffic jam. Like I'm like the fucking Fonz, because I don't have to press down a really, really heavy, not heavy, but they're difficult to push clutch. Clutch is a bit stiff, old chap. To put the damn car into first, roll forward a little bit. Oh God, I'm going about 5 miles an hour. Maybe I've got to put it into second. I'll clutch down again. Oh no, actually, no, we're going really slow. Okay, I'll put it back into first. Oh no, now I'm fucking kangarooing. I've been driving for 30 years, but everyone's looking at me like I'm an idiot. No, friends. I just get on the motorway now and just press a button and just maybe have to change lanes now and again. It's fucking great. No gears. It's dead simple. No oil. No oil. No getting your hands filthy every time you go anywhere near the bloody engine. No Swarfiga needed. If you don't know what Swarfiga is, I mean, you're obviously not grown up having to fix fucking internal combustion engines, which I'm growing to really hate. I'm growing to really despise internal combustion engine. I think they're just a shit idea, with all this stuff built around it to mitigate the fact that it's a shit idea. This is why the engines are so bloody heavy. But even if you don't care about the environment, even if you don't care about the toxic gas that is coming out the back of your internal combustion, and even if you don't care about the fact that there's 50 different ways that an internal combustion engine can go wrong, whereas there's only a couple of ways that an electric engine can go wrong, because it's dead simple. There's only a few moving parts to an electric engine, and there's no gears, just lots and lots of torque. It costs £3 to get from here to Liverpool. I can't keep going on about this enough, especially after just spending £111 getting to Liverpool and back for my mum's birthday. Like, seriously, come on. £3 for all of us to travel. And I know that there's a Vimes boot index thing going on here where if you don't have much money, it's very expensive to buy an EV. And this is why, if you can't, fair enough. But if there is a salary sacrifice scheme or something like that going on, along with this setup that the government's got for your EVs, please, friends, take it. I can't guarantee you won't go back, because things change, circumstances change or whatever, but I haven't met anyone so far out of all the people I know who have got electric cars, and it's a few dozen now, who have gone back. I don't know, even proper petrol heads who have got an electric car, and they might still have a classic petrol car, internal combustion engine car. They might still have one for weekends and driving through mountains and stuff, whatever you do with a prestige old car. But their everyday run around is electric, because it's just so much more convenient. So that, anyway, I think we've had another super chat. It's not come up on my screen yet. Hang on. Oh my God, another one. Plum Duff, thank you so much, Plum Duff. Another one. Another one? Thank you so much for the mega chat. That is very, very kind of you, Plumduff. In honor of the chat about beavers and Martin becoming happy once more, you're all great people. Never forget, you are the best of the best. Hey! Thank you very much to Plumduff. That is brilliant. That is absolutely awesome. And this, in honor of Plumduff, goes out to you all. Thank you. You are the best. You are the best. Thank you so much. All the coolest people there. How are you charging your EV? We are on an octopus plan, which means that we charge the car overnight. It's like you set it up on your phone and it starts to charge at like 2 a.m, and it charges up to like 80%. Honestly, it costs a few quid. I'm not kidding. Like, even if we do have to pay the full tariff because we have to charge it during the day, which is unusual, but even if we do have to do that, then even if we do have to pay the full amount, it's not much. It's not much if we charge it from home. The government are putting a lot of money into putting gullies in, as we've discussed on this channel before, where you'll be, if you live in a terraced house, you can have the council come and dig a little trench so people won't trip over your cable when you plug your car in at night. We're going to have some change in infrastructure. We're going to have outside terraced houses. We're going to have parking spaces for the person in that house, and it'll be reserved parking. We'll have to have someone come out and paint some white lines saying reserved parking for, or just putting the number of the house for whose spot that is. Because obviously you can't really plug into the neighbours. But even when we plug into the super expensive, super fast chargers on the way home from Durham, it's still cheaper than it would be to fill it up with a tank of petrol. Or half a tank of petrol in the case of getting to Durham to Liverpool. So generally speaking, Durham to Liverpool was half a tank of petrol, or in our case, diesel. We did have a diesel car, which was, I hate the smell of petrol, and the smell of diesel is somehow even worse. I don't know how. But it's when the prices went mad because of the invasion of Ukraine, it was like got up to like £1.90 a litre. I think it got up to £2 in some service stations on the motorway. £2 a litre. And it was just like, fucking hell, you fill it up, it's 100 quid. 100 quid to fill up your tank. And that could happen again. I know prices have gone down recently. I think I last saw it was like £1.36 or something. So it's gone down a lot for diesel. But at the same time, friends, seriously, you're talking a few quid versus tens of pounds, 60 quid to fill a tank up. There's so much misinformation about EVs. There is. That's what being paid for by the foreign slime companies. They need to sell their foreign slime, and the only way to do that is to keep people addicted to foreign slime. And when we can have homegrown clean energy, miraculous clean energy plucked from the air and then put into your car. Anyway, look, I don't mean to go off on tangents, but sometimes I've got to say, this is the new thing that's coming in from the government, because the old government, the Tory government, were giving away subsidies until 2022. I think they ended them. And even then, they'd whittled them down to about £1,500. And you had to jump through all these hoops to get them. So Labour's brought these subsidies back, which is a great thing. And hopefully with that and these amazing new Chinese cars that are cheap as chips, they're equivalent of minis and stuff, it's well worth looking into it. I think the cheapest new Chinese car you can get here for about £18,000, which to me is outrageous. The last car I bought was 250 quid, a Nissan Micra. Thank you very much. I think it cost more to insure than it did to actually buy. But so that it's still way out of my league. But if you have a decent job like Kat, my partner, and they have a salary sacrifice scheme, if you can do it. I've started this by saying I don't like to be evangelical about stuff, and then I was totally evangelical about it. Sorry about that. Me being a jellicle cat and all. £5 super chat from Paula, thank you. Other advantages of EVs: when stuck in stationary traffic, the motive is using no fuel, where you get fuel when slowing down without using the brake. Yes, Paula, and that is so much fun. Okay, so sometimes when we're driving and we've been going up a hill or something, and then we come down on the other side of the Pennines, And you can see on the car, like, you can see that we're getting regenerative braking energy. So as we're going down the hill, we're not necessarily going any slower. We're staying at the same speed. I'm not actively pressing the brake, but just the fact that we are going downhill produces energy for the car, and you see your range go up. You see it ticking up, and you're driving it going, that's amazing. Your range was 215 miles or something, and it goes up to 216. And I know I shouldn't get so excited about that, but you're going down a hill, you're looking at the thing going, yay, we just made free energy from gravity. Science, bitch. I go like magnets. I get a bit Jesse in my old age. The kids are sitting in the back going, oh God. Like, oh my God, I'm pointing at the dashboard. We just made energy. We just made energy for this car. We just made fuel in your face, dirty fossil fuel companies with your foreign slime. And they're dead clean as well. Like, you open the bonnet, it's not covered in oil. It's not all greasy and horrible. It's just nice. It's just nice. The cheap Chinese one is less than 2K. It looks like a toaster though, says Sean. Yeah, but I don't think you can get them in the UK yet, Sean. I don't think you can get those ones in the UK, but you can certainly get them in China. That'll be fun. Why don't I do that, right? Travel down to Bogenville, then go up back through China, get one of these two grand little electric cars, and then drive back with that. I don't think that the Guinness World Records would look too kindly on that if I did that. But it would be fun. Me dad used to have a petrol-soaked rag. He used to clean the car petrol cap with. I used to sniff it and made my head go, woo, says Acro Dave. Yeah. It wasn't free energy. It took energy to get up that hill. Yeah, I know, John. Spoil. It's still, okay, it wouldn't happen with a petrol motor, would it? Would it? No, you won't get extra energy on the fact that, you're coasting down the hill. Your motor's still going. I mean, an internal combustion engine still uses fuel when you're sitting still. You're not doing anything. But, you want the air conditioning on. Kinetic energy. Oh, beautiful. Kinetic energy recovery, F1 technology in the real world, says Martin. Yeah, it's pretty cool. But yeah, it only takes AAA batteries. Yeah, AAA batteries. If you're in Australia, their AA is called the AAA. So it'd be quite fun, wouldn't it? Be like, quick, call the AAA. We need to replace these AAA batteries. There's a marketing opportunity for them. Okay, so where was I? Javid, Cruddas, they're saying democracy itself is under threat. But who's, Savage Javid says democracy under threat. Who's been in bloody charge? Do you know what I mean? 14 fucking years. But yeah, the doom loop isn't just happening. It's engineered. It's engineered. The Tories created austerity. They created Brexit. They didn't create COVID, but they profited from it to the tune of billions, them and their mates, while they left the rest of us to suffer and die. Thank you very much from Draconic Drizzit. Best representation of foreign slime was the creature voice by our favourite Tim Curry in Fern Gully, which was then remade by Jim Cameron into the movie Avatar. It was just Fern Gully in space. Any movie is improved by setting it in space. So, how the doom loop sort of escalates. You have disinformation flashpoints. The Southport riots were triggered by lies about the attacker being a Muslim asylum seeker, which he was not. And isolation breeds fear. One in three Brits rarely meet people from different backgrounds. 7 in 10 never meet asylum seekers, ever. They never met an asylum seeker. They've never had a chat with an asylum seeker. It's very easy to other people when you've never met them. And that's something that I'm so glad that I did that journey, because it's kind of impossible for me now to other people, because anyone from any walk of life, from any country in the world, there's a good chance I've met someone from that group. And they're human. The people I met were all nice. So, it's very difficult for me to sort of write off an entire ethnic group or entire group of people from one country or one religion or one sexuality or whatever. I've met all sorts. I've met all sorts. Like the naughty jelly baby. I've been up to all sorts. Isolation breeds fear. 1 in 3 Brits, like I say, coming from very rarely meeting people from different backgrounds, and that can include like social background. Like there is a definite division between middle class people and working class people, if you want to call them that. I don't know if those divisions are as clear as they used to be, but it's still, it's still a big issue. It is still a big issue that we don't have the kind of mix that we used to have. And we really did used to have a better mix of people. In the past, I mean, it wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination. Of course, we still had ghettos and areas where you were more likely to run into someone from one particular ethnic minority or another, or one particular social class than another. But I do think in the second half of the 20th century, it was getting a bit better. And one of the ways I think that it was obvious that it was a bit better was the fact we had a run of prime ministers who were state educated in the second half of the 20th century. We had a run of about 4 or 5 prime ministers in a row who went to state school. And then Tony Blair got in 1997, and since then it's been pretty much private school all the way, with the exception of Gordon Brown for 3 years and that Lemon, what's her name? Liz Truss for 3 weeks. Apart from that, it's been private school every single, and now every party leader vying to be prime minister next is from private school. And don't forget, when you don't mix with children from other walks of life as a kid, it's unlikely that you will start mixing with people like that in later life. If you've never been busy mates with someone from a working class background, or you've never fallen in love with someone from a working class background and met their family and met their friends and been to their area of town and hung out. People do live in bubbles, and the aristocracy or the neo-aristocracy are very much part and parcel of that problem. And something else we do, which I've talked about before on this channel, is we separate children into church schools, religious schools, which I think is preposterous. I think it's evil. I think it's messed up. It'll be as messed up as asking parents, what football team do you imagine going to trying to get your kids into a good school in Liverpool, primary school, and which is down the road. And you can walk there with your kid. You don't have to drive. You don't have to do the school run. They don't have to get on a bus. You can literally walk to that school. But you turn up and they say, "What, red or blue?" And you go, "Oh, I'm a blue." I say, "Oh, good. Well, this is a blue school, so we can let you in. But if you said that you were a red, if you said you support Liverpool rather than Everton, then I'm afraid your kid wouldn't be able to come to this school." And you'd be like, "What?" Yeah, it's the only thing we can still actively discriminate against. You can't discriminate against people for their gender. Well, I suppose you can discriminate against trans people still, but that's a fight for another instance. But you can't discriminate against people for being disabled, or at least you're not meant to. You can't discriminate against people for their sexuality. You can't discriminate against people for their ethnicity no, you can their religion. Yeah, you can definitely discriminate against children for their parents' religion. You can say to a Muslim child, or an atheist child, or a Jewish child, or child of Jewish parents, child of Muslim parents, "I'm sorry, I'm going to give priority to the parents of this child, because those parents are the correct flavor of Christianity." Imagine that. Not even just Christian, the correct flavor of Christianity. And again, imagine it being trying to get your kid into the school. So you're an Everton fan, yeah. Okay, when did you last go to the match? Oh, fuck. I haven't been to the match for a long time. I've been living in Durham. I mean, I don't have a seat. I've never had the season ticket. I've just been able to go along when friends or family have had a spare ticket and said, "Do you want to come to the match on Saturday?" And I've been like, "Yeah, sure, man." I'm always up for going to the match. Sorry, that's not good enough. You can only come to this school if you go to a footy match every week. Every week. Away matches as well. Yeah. Every week through the season, you've got to go to the footy. But I don't have the time. I don't have the money. I can't. I literally can't. I do a live stream at 3:00 on Saturdays. I can't do it. Well, I'm sorry, your kid's not getting into this school. Do you hear how mad it is? and then just extrapolate that out to religion. Sorry, you don't go to church enough. Your kid can't come into this school. And so you have mad situations like where I had a lot of Catholic friends growing up. Half my mum's family are Catholic, and then my dad's side of the family were Protestants. And so, I did mix a lot more than most kids. But I remember one time I was out at a fucking heebie-jeebies or something, and I was chatting to some fella. He said, "Oh, whereabouts are you from?" And I said, "Oh, I'm West Derby." He said, "Oh, West Derby too." And he was actually lived on the same road as me. And I went, "How do you live on the same road as me, but I don't know you?" We moved there when I was 11. And because he went to the Catholic school nearby, I think he went to Carnal Eden, and I went to the Church of England school. We never met. We never mixed. Why would we? I went to a Protestant school. He went to a Catholic school. That's absolutely fucking bonkers. Absolutely fucking bonkers. Although I have to say, my secondary school had people from all different religions and ethnicities, and I don't think it wasn't selected for how much you went to church. It wasn't based on church attendance, but it could be. You're legally allowed to discriminate against the children of parents who are from a different religious background or none. So I know people who are very close to me who went to church every week for a year to get their kid into the school they wanted to get their kid into. What a fucking pantomime, And I go back to what Homer Simpson said, the wisdom of Homer Simpson. What if we're praying to the wrong God? Each week we're just making him madder and madder. Paul, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Grew up in a village until I was 11. Only school in the village was religious. Results, I'm a massive atheist, says Paula. Yeah, that happens. How do you make someone an atheist? Force them to read the Bible. Read the damn thing. Joanna says, I wouldn't have got into that school. I got kicked out of Sunday school for asking too many questions. Yeah, I love to ask questions. You can't discriminate against certain groups openly. Clandestinely is another matter. No, Aqua Dave, in primary school admissions in this country, it is still completely legal to discriminate against children of other faiths than that of your school. So you give priority to Catholics who go to church, which again creates a massive divide, because if you are wealthy and middle class and you are able to go to church, spend a couple of hours every Sunday morning going to church for a year, you're more likely to get your kid into that school than a Catholic kid whose parent is a single parent, working 3 jobs, working class, and who has to work on a Sunday and can't go to church. Which one of those kids is going to get into the school if there's only one space available? The wealthier kid, whose parents can afford tutors, whose parents can afford to go to, the time to go to church on a Sunday. So it's not just private schools that create divisions like this. It's also the way the state school system is set up because of religion, and also having gone to a selective but let's just call it a grammar school because it is now. Having gone to a grammar school, I disagree with them. I don't think that we should have them. I know this is going to piss some people off, but separating children off at that age because they're academically talented, I don't think it's the right thing to do necessarily. Because it makes children who don't get in there feel like they're not as intelligent and not as capable. And I know people who can't spell for shit would have got F. We don't really do Fs in this country. We never did. I think it was an N or a U. You get an U for unclassified if you did really badly. But they could strip a motorbike down to its parts in an afternoon and then rebuild it the next morning. Like their talents were legion. They just weren't very good academically. They had brilliant minds, but just set in a different direction. But they were openly discriminated against by our state school system that says, no, these are the clever kids. We're going to put you in a school that doesn't encourage you in what you're good at. And I think that should be the basis where all schools run from, is find out what these kids are good at. That's your job. Find out what they're good at and make them bloom. Make them absolutely bloom, baby bloom at what they are good at. Obviously, you've got to have maths, you've got to have English to some degree, just to navigate everyday life. But once you've got that, I mean, the world should be your oyster, and whatever you enjoy doing. I was having a conversation with Kat and the kids yesterday because they were talking about drama. I never got to do drama at school. We never got to do it. Kat did. The kids do. I never got to do drama, and it really pisses me off to this day because I would have been boss. I know. Like people overestimate their own opinion of themselves. I don't think I'd ever make it as a professional actor at all. But just being able to go out on stage and sort of talk, make stuff up, to improv or whatever I needs to do. I'm pretty good at that. I'm pretty good at memorizing the script and going out on stage and saying it, or even not memorizing it, just reading over some notes and then making a speech out of it. I've done 7 fucking TED Talks, mate. Just hashtag just saying. I did the talk for the prize giving for the GCSE students for my old school, which is amazing since I was basically nearly expelled from that school. Come back years later to give a talk about, hey kids, get your head down and work hard, like what I didn't. But yeah, I mean, we couldn't do it. We weren't allowed to do it. We had to do CD fucking T, which was shite. We were doing like woodwork at a time when we should have been doing coding. Very strange time to be alive. The early 90s. It was like schools were transitioning from like the Stone Age, the Wood Age, into the digital age, and it was a bit of a slow and painful process. Trip says certain radio frequencies, when isolated and directed at a believer, they will lose their faith. Similarly, a non-believer can be made to believe in God presence by using the same method. What? That's amazing. Rosie, grim humor. What? Certain stones can contain magnetic properties, says Trip. Some ancient helmets for war contain those stones. They thought they made the warriors more aggressive. Strangely enough, at school, I failed English 3 times, wasn't interested. When I got to uni, my English skills went through the roof. Yeah, it can be the environment that you're working in. But I know from personal experience that if you're forced to do a subject that you're shit at, it's incredibly demoralizing. And if you do a subject that you enjoy, you will excel. I mean, I wanted to do English at university, but I had such a good history and politics teacher doing my A-levels that I ended up doing history and politics instead, because he really piqued my interest in the subject. He made it exciting and interesting. He basically did horrible histories before horrible histories. He was obsessed with the mad shit that went down in the past and the mad shit that the Tories were doing at the time in the mid-90s. Bringing a bit of politics to our politics lectures. I mean, obviously, we politics lessons, I suppose they weren't lectures. I suppose we learned about the parliamentary system of the UK and the American system of government and all that kind of the presidential system. But also there was a little bit of politics that would get in there, as you could imagine from a Scouser in a Scouse school. Anyway, so back to, I feel like up Pompeii. Talking about funny thing happened on the way to the forum, and never get around to actually what I'm supposed to be talking about. So let's talk about the doom loop, how it escalates, and like I said, people don't know their neighbours, people don't congregate as much as they used to, and this is a problem with the way that churches, like fewer people are going to churches, which wasn't great in a way, people going to churches, because obviously from my point of view, they were being told a load of bollocks. But in community cohesion and knowing the people in your community, and we are social animals, that social side of it was lost. It's been replaced in some ways by football, but it's always the same people who go to the football each week with the season ticket, and it's maybe that's more than anything has led to the footballification of politics, because football's become our communal thing now more than anything else. And other sports, I mean cricket and tennis and rugby and other stuff, but maybe that slightly replaced it, but it's not quite the same. And I would like to see weekly local meetings. I was amazed to find out that our first council, public council meeting since the elections back, like, I don't know, a year ago, whenever the local elections were, and we got in here in Durham, the first proper full council meeting is tomorrow. It's halfway through July. I mean, what the hell? Seriously? It's tomorrow? I'd like to see weekly meetings in local town halls, parishes, village halls, where we have weekly meetings where we go and we talk about stuff in our community. We talk about the fact that some, dog owners who don't pick up their dog mess, the fact that cars race through our village, the fact that, that this needs to be done, that needs to be done, and we need to get better transport routes, how we'd like to have our bus work on a Sunday, please, because otherwise we're trapped in our homes and if we can't walk the 5 miles to town or whatever it is. And also, because we're not talking to each other as much as we used to, because we're not socializing in real life, polarization is deepening because our interactions online are very strange. They're very different to having a conversation in real life. Even this, what we're doing here, which feels a bit more like having a conversation in real life. I'm talking at you. And obviously we've got a bit of feedback coming through in real time, which is great. And I think it's what makes these shows so special and why I love doing live streams over pre-records. But at the same time, it's not quite the same as us meeting in a pub and a few of us having a chat and people fielding questions in real life. I think that's something that we really need to think about, is re-energizing our communities. And deprived communities are more likely to distrust newcomers. Meanwhile, affluent areas don't feel attention because they're insulated. And so you'll find this divide where people are feeling like they are not being listened to, especially in working class northern areas. And they feel like they're being told by the press that these people are coming over in boats and getting all this free stuff. And they're looking at their lives going, I don't get any free anything. Where's my free fucking Ferrari or whatever, people are told that foreigners get for coming here. And, crisis, this leads to panic, leads to a crackdown by the government, and that leads to more anger. It's a self-reinforcing cycle where no long-term fixes are made. And without intervention, I don't think things are going to kick off this summer. I hope they won't. I think that unless there's an inciting incident. But at some point, it might kick off again. More riots, more hate crimes, more political opportunists cashing in on those hate crimes, on those riots. And, who's to blame? Well, top of the list has got to be the Tories. They created the conditions through austerity, Brexit, their response to COVID and Truss. They let inequalities fester. They ignored all the warnings. They've made the cost of living go through the fucking roof. They've made it so people are just surviving and they're not thriving. They're not, the cost of living is not the cost of living anymore. It's the cost of surviving. It's the cost of keeping your head above water. The vast majority of people in this country have no savings whatsoever. They don't have a private pension fund. They can't afford it. They can't afford the nice stuff. And it's not because they're spending all their money on latte macchiatos. It's because they are genuinely finding it difficult to balance the books. Ivan Ambrose, thank you so much for the £5 super chat. Can we be more respectful to people who go to church, please? It's absolutely not for everyone, but I'm open-minded to what I believe in. Ivan, I'm sorry if I felt that I was being disrespectful there. I was actually saying that I don't know what people are saying in the chat necessarily, but I had to go to church as a kid. Right, and a lot of my friends who went to churches as children didn't have a very good experience there. I did. I had a great time. I enjoyed being part of the choir. I enjoyed going out on choir trips to Corris in Wales. I made some really good friends in choir. I enjoyed myself. I did, but I know there's a lot of people who didn't enjoy themselves for various reasons, and I also understand that the church has done some very, very, very bad things and got away with it to a large degree in a way that no other profit-making enterprise would have got away with it. So, I got mixed feelings about it, but I am serious when I say that. I lament the loss of community because people aren't going to church anymore. And I wish that could be replaced by something else. Well, the way I would do it is just having a town meeting that everyone can go to every week. That's it. Just say there's a town meeting every Thursday at 7 o'clock. Come if you want. And we'll have our local councillors, we'll have our local MP come along now and again. We'll have or MPs, representative, and we'll chat about what's happening. I feel like that is something that we could absolutely do. Another thing I'll say about churches is God, the old ones are beautiful. Nothing built since 1950. They can all fuck off. Modern churches are just disgusting, and an affront to a god. If a god does exist, modern churches are definitely affront to them. But the classic Gothic British churches, just fucking fantastic, absolutely magnificent buildings. I love visiting them. And one of my favourite buildings in the world is Liverpool Anglican Cathedral, which is a modern building. It was built in the 20th century. It took them 70 years, but they built it in the 20th century. And it's actually concrete inside. You wouldn't know because it's all clad with Liverpool red sandstone, but it's concrete. It's a concrete building. You can make nice concrete buildings. I went to the Bluecoat Chambers in Liverpool over the weekend, which is my old school. That's where it used to be back in the day when it was like an orphanage, and it moved in 1907 or something, 1907, to its Wavertree place where it is now. I went in, and one of the wings was bombed during the war. And in 2008, because it was the capital of culture, they thought, let's recreate the wing of this building. Now, bear in mind, it is the oldest public building in Liverpool city centre. This building, it's beautiful, right? And instead of, and it's symmetrical as well. It's symmetrical. There's a courtyard as you go in, and it's a symmetrical building. So when it comes to, okay, the plans were probably lost in the 1700s when it was built, but the being able to like work out how the other side should look should have been pretty straightforward, right? You just look at what it looks like on the other side. But no. The pretentious, usually privately educated, modern architects didn't want that. No. They were just going to use concrete to build these walls. And there's an interior wall. I feel like I should have taken a photo of it now. A concrete interior wall to this building. This building that was built in the reign of Queen Anne, maybe? Was it Queen Anne who was on the throne back then? 1707 or something? Back in the reign of Queen Anne, maybe, perhaps. I don't know. We'll have to look that up. They built this building, and they go, okay, we've got to put this new wing. We've got to rebuild this wing that was destroyed in the war. And they use concrete. And they haven't even done a nice job with the concrete. It's all higgledy-piggledy. It's just like they filled in bits as it went along. Because concrete, you build the form, and then you pour your slop into concrete slop into your form, and then it goes hard, and it's all higgledy-piggledy. It's not done to a design. It's not done to look nice. It's just like, oh, there's like a section that looks like a lintel, but it's all like not nice though. It hasn't got a straight line in it. It's all like this, and I'm like looking at it going, guys, I appreciate you can't spend much money on stuff these days, but this is the oldest building in Liverpool. Why can't you make it look like it? Build it like it used to. You talk to an architect, and they'll go, "Oh, it's because we have to juxtaposition things. Juxtaposition is good. You know, if you've got something like the Mona Lisa, it's very important that you put a dog turd on a pedestal next to it. You know, for the juxtaposition of those two things." Absolutely bonkers. Absolutely fucking bonkers. But yeah, don't know how I got onto that subject. Oh, churches, yeah. Old buildings. Beautiful, beautiful old buildings. Especially compared with the new ones, which are shit. I've checked. Trust me on this one, right? I've travelled quite a lot. New buildings, anything built since like 1950, shite. Probably 1939, actually. I know there's some kind of cool, like, rocket age stuff from the 1950s that I still quite have a little bit of affection for. But everything since 1960, I mean, Jesus Christ. Okay, so who's to blame? Tories. Right, said that. Refuck. Fear, feeding paranoia about migrants, deliberately dividing communities for votes. And then you've got social media platforms amplifying hate speech, enriching people who are toxic, enriching toxic influencers, refusing to enforce their own rules, monetizing the chaos. And then you've got far-right agitators like Robinson, Tate, Fox, all getting rich off this misery that they are creating. And successive governments, including Labour, with their piecemeal responses, with no sustained funding towards social cohesion, which is what we definitely need. And you know what? Division isn't an accident. It's a business model for the right. They need us angry at each other so we don't get angry at them. Divide and rule, divide and rule, divide and rule. But, I want to end on a note of hope here. I'm a positive guy. I'm an optimist. I do think things will get better eventually. I acknowledge things are shit now. I'm acknowledging that people are going through pain and suffering and fear. I'm acknowledging that. But also, I think it's not going to last forever. And I do believe that there will be, there is always an equal and opposite reaction to any action. And the action that the Tories are taking and the Refuck are taking, there will be a kickback against it, just like there's a massive kickback going on now against Viktor Orban in Hungary. Hopefully in the 2026 election, he'll be out on his fucking ear. Absolute gobshite of a man. He banned Pride in Hungary. And what happened? Instead of 25,000 people turning up to Pride this year, 200,000 people turned up to Pride. We were. Die, thank you so much for the £20 super chat, my friend. I am middle class, moderately, or maybe it's day. Is it day or die? How would you like me to say it? Moderately affluent, scoin. How do you pronounce that? How do you pronounce that word? Scoin of a Welsh working class dynasty, living in Richmond, but find myself taken for granted by the progressive movements. Some love for us Southerners, please. Oh, absolutely. Sorry, I might go on about the North a little bit, but don't forget, most of the people that we have on the channel, on the Friday Night Social, they're all bloody Southerners. So yeah, we like to have a little bit of representation from all over. But definitely love for the Welsh. I've got Welsh heritage myself, and there's nothing wrong with being middle class and moderately affluent. I think the problem isn't you. I don't think it's the problem in the community in which you live. I think the problem is that we don't mix as much as we used to. And I know it was never perfect. I know there was never, ever a time when the likes of Rees-Mogg would be, playing footy on the streets of Scotty Road. Do you know what I mean? Scotty Road area. I know that. But at the same time, I think that we need to work together more than ever before. And one good thing about the internet, it's a great leveler. It is absolutely a great leveler. I'm sorry if I'm saying Dai's name wrong. If it's Day, let me know. Scion. Okay, Scion. Scion of a Welsh working class dynasty. There you go. Pronounce that right. Dai's going to give me a load of Welsh words now to try and pronounce and mangle. My gran was religious all her life, says Elle. A born-again Christian of all people said, if she doesn't go to church, she'll not go to heaven. I said, did you say my gran is going to hell? Walk away now. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that is one of the dark sides of one of quite a few things that are dark sides of religion. I hate the idea that if you don't follow the right religion, you go to hell. That for me is the maddest thing. Did Graham just pronounce Scion as Scion? Scion. Trip put Scion as in sci-fi. SCI. Stupid English. Skyon? Sky. And it's not Welsh, it's English. Die as in my. Yes, so I was saying die correctly. Oh, good. So it's not day, is it? It's not day. Good. I'm glad I was saying it right. Die. I will continue to try and say it correctly. My grandma was Hungarian. I was never so proud of my heritage when I saw the Pride event and anti-Orban protests give me hope. I would never try to get Hungarian passport under Orban. Yeah. But the reaction against him is massive and it's growing. And hopefully, he will be out on his ear. In fact, his own group, his own conservatives in Hungary are all saying this is a bit much, and they're gearing up to get rid of him now. People who are brainwashed during their formative years e.g. religious schooling, often struggle to be open-minded later in life because of it. They tend to view life through the prism of religion. I mean, yeah, to some extent, Nick, but I mean, like, I think I was very lucky because I had two older brothers. I was the youngest, and there's a couple of things in my life that I really, really stick with me all these years later. One was reading the Bible, like literally just sitting down with a marker pen with a highlighter and just reading it and just highlighting all the funny bits. I've still got my Bible down. So I'll show you it sometime. I'll show you all the highlighting I did when I was a kid. I was like 8 years old or something. I'm sitting there reading all these funny bits of the Bible, going, "Oh my God!" So if a woman grabs, if a husband is being assailed and a woman grabs the assailant by his genitals, you must cut off her hand. Show her no mercy. It's written in the fucking Bible. I'd like highlight it and show me mates sitting next to me, in the pews in church. And then there's also the fact that my older brother, my older brother, who's 10 years older than me, he was never particularly religious and he didn't go to church as a kid anyway. But one thing, and also Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, if there's any idea that there might be a sensible, loving, logical God out there, that was blown out the water by Douglas Adams. So thanks Dougie for that one. But no, I still remember to this day, we were waiting to get on the ferry. We were in a camper van, waiting to get on the ferry to go on a camping trip in mainland Europe. And me and my dad were up in the cab, and I think my mum and my brother had gone to the shops there or something. And it was night time. I was looking up, and it was dead starry, really nice starry sky. And I said to my dad, and I must have been about 9 or 10 at the time, something like that. And I was well into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so I'm thinking it was probably about 1990, something like that. And I said to me dad, "Oh my God, it's amazing. There's so many stars." And I'm telling him how many stars there are, whatever, letting the Monty Python song off by heart. And I said, isn't it amazing that God made every single one of them? And my dad just turned to me and he said, "Yeah, but then again, it might just be a load of bollocks, and it might just, have been the Big Bang." And when sort of your dad says that, you kind of go, "Oh yeah, never really looked at it that way before." But people believe what they want to believe. But yeah, I never felt brainwashed. I never felt like religion was forced on me, even though I went to church every week for many, many years as a kid. I went to a nominally C of E school, and we had, hymns every morning in assembly. We would sing hymns. I used to do the Bible reading in school in front of the school. I've told you this before, but I once got told off by Mr. Ling. He pulled me into his office and he said, "Graham, we appreciate you doing the Bible reading in assembly, but we've had some complaints that you've been doing it in a sarcastic tone of voice." Was it Ray from the Mary Whitehouse Experience who had to say everything in a sarcastic tone of voice? I was doing a Ray. Yeah. Yeah, just remember that going, what if it's all bollocks? Anyway, so back to why I'm sort of positive. There is hope. I mean, it's fragile, but there is hope. 69% of people say the local area feels like a place where people get along. During COVID, people did pull together. They really did. There is a lot of local pride. I mean, I come from a city where there's loads of civic pride. Like, Scousers are very, very proud of their city. And people have an innate sense of fairness. And we want communities to work. We want communities to work. The vast majority of us want communities to work. But we're being set up to fail. And, I mean, sort of the existing cohesion work that is being done, like the Belong Network, British Future projects, they exist, but the funding is patchy and it's kind of reactionary. It's like, if a bad thing happens in a particular area, suddenly money gets funded in to that area. The Tories did a thing where they took a lot of money away from areas and then put it into prevent instead. So instead of it going to an entire community, it was spent on like individuals, try and stop them going down into the pipeline of possible terrorism, which was invariably always looked at as Islamic terrorism rather than right-wing terrorism or other forms of terrorism. That is still out there. But there is a foundation to build on. It's being eroded by austerity, by hate, by online toxicity, but the foundation is still there. And if Labour tap into that foundation, it will be like opening the sluice gates. It'll be a lot like the people will flow. The people will flow in because we are all crying out for more community, for more human connection. People are sick of dating apps. People want to meet people in their community. They want to meet their neighbours. This is, ways that we can do this, rebuilding social infrastructure, looking at ways to talk to our local MP, our local MP, but also councillors about, going about ways to reverse Tory austerity cuts, pushing for more funding for libraries, which are essential for communities, because they're not just about borrowing books. It's somewhere where people without a computer can get online. It's a place where people can go and sit and have a coffee and have a natter and and get on it and join courses and better themselves. Youth centres, hugely important. Places for kids to go after school instead of coming home and sitting on the couch with their face buried in a tablet. They can see their mates after school. Parks, just green spaces, fucking trees. There should be a nationwide programme where if there's any wasteland anywhere, it gets turned into a fucking park. That is it. You send the JCBs in, you turn up the fucking ground, and you sow some grass seeds and you plant some fucking trees. It's a lot cheaper than building a fucking building. But there's so many patches of land. There's famously a patch of land, right? I think it's at the end of James Street in Liverpool, right by the Liver buildings, right by the Port of Liverpool building, the Cunard building, quite close to the Albert Dock. And it's this little section of land that's a bit of wasteland, right? And a few years ago, the council were fed up of looking at this bit of wasteland. And so they put a JCB in there. They turned up all the ground, and then they put down turf, and they made it this nice little section of grass. And the owners of that bit of bit of land took the council to court, and the council were fined. They had to pay a fine for doing this, and then they had to turn the nice little green bit of land, the little section, this little square of green, back into a wasteland again. A gravelly, godforsaken wasteland. That's got to stop. Use it or lose it. If there is an area that, used to be something but isn't something anymore, there's no fucking asbestos there, fucking just cover it in grass. Let people sit there. Let people, take a picnic blanket. Let them get away from the roads and the stink and the smell of modern life. God, can't wait. 10 years time, when the vast majority of cars on the road in the UK, all vehicles, are electric buses, electric trucks, electric trams, electric trains, electric cars, everything electric. How much fresher is the air going to be? How much nicer is it going to be? Just chilling out without the fucking noise of these damn noise machines that run on foreign slime. I'm going to keep calling oil foreign slime till it catches on. Mega Matt says, I know a lot of parks near me turn out to places for teens to get drunk or people to take drugs. Don't know why though. Getting off my tits in a Wendy house that smells like pee doesn't sound like fun, really. True story. Another £10 super chat from Di. Thank you. I'm a Port Taliban. The Tories and Brexit screwed us. But Port Talbot Taliban, is that what it is? But Labour are paying the price. It'll probably go to reform. Irony or what? Yeah. The Tories and Brexit and the refuckers fucked us. I mean, Richard Tice and Andy Wigmore and Nigel Farage. It's the same gang. It's the same gang. Aaron Banks. It's the same group of gobshites, you know. And they're the people who brought us Brexit. They're the toffs, the privately educated toffs that brought us Brexit. Every single one of them went to private school, and you're not going to get me off my high horse on this one. I think it's demonstrably demonic what those people did. Also, we need to talk more about investing in affordable public transport, which I think is really, really critical, so people can, you know, connect beyond their bubble, especially in rural areas or semi-rural areas like where I am in Durham. And invest. We see more investment in local projects to bring people from different backgrounds together, art projects, community projects, litter pickup, even, you know, going out and just spending a Sunday afternoon picking up litter in your local area. I fucking love it. It's the way it should be. It's a nice thing to do. It makes your area look a lot nicer as well. It's shit that people drop litter, but let's make a concerted effort to clear this shit up. Ivan Ambrose, thank you so much for your £10 super chat. It's really kind of you. I'm really struggling with seeing more people I know getting into relationships or getting engaged. I'm happy for all of them, but I want a partner love to myself. I'm denied partner love because of my medical circumstances. Mate, I'm sorry, man. My heart goes out to you. It's difficult the best of times. I mean, you could have a chat with Tan about her troubles. I mean, she doesn't have medical circumstances preventing her from embarking in a long-term relationship, but she's still finding it incredibly, incredibly difficult because a lot of people are knobheads. Just as much as I love people, and as much as I say most people are nice, they are. It can be difficult for most of us, and Ivan, I completely understand that. I completely get that. And all I can say is, like, your mental health will improve. It will. You're getting help at the moment. I know you have to pay for it, which is shit, but you are getting help. You're getting therapy. You won't always be in this, in the way your brain is set up now, won't always be the way that necessarily be the way that your brain is set up in the future. And you never know what will happen. You just literally never know what will happen. I can talk from my experience. Like, honestly, there was a time when I thought I was broken because I was hooking up with people, but I wasn't feeling anything. I was like, oh my God, is my capacity to feel something? Am I dead inside? Is my capacity to feel something gone? Have I turned into a love zombie? What is wrong with me? Why am I not feeling anything? And it really freaked me out. It really, really freaked me out. I was talking to Mike Dix as well about this, and he said exactly the same thing, that he felt this way for a while. And then I met up with an old school friend. It wasn't a dating app. It wasn't, and my life went off in a completely, crazy direction, Ivan, because I was living on a tropical island with a speedboat and bikini babes, and now I am a, suburban stepdad in Durham making video streams about politics. So you just don't know. You just don't know, Ivan. But I'm hoping that things will improve over time. And all I can ask is that you try not to. I know it's easy to say, but try not to dwell on it too much. I'll tell you a funny story. When I went traveling, went traveling for 4 years, all my fucking mates got married. All my mates got married while I was away. I got back and said, whoa, hey, I'm up for a wedding. Who's having a wedding then? And none of my mates got married. Like, since then, for like 15 years, none of my mates have got married. It was just the years that I was traveling, they all got together. Some of them have got divorced by now, but like, it was like, guys, why'd you have to get married when I wasn't here? And to this day, I still haven't been to a gay wedding. Still haven't been to a gay wedding, which I really, really want to go to a gay wedding. Desperate friends to go to a gay wedding. If you know anyone who is gay, who is getting married, please think about me as your plus one. If you need someone to go with, I'm there. I'm so there. I need to go to a gay marriage before I die. Gay wedding. Graham Hughes and his big gay wedding. This is the thing as well. When we're in this, and this links in with what I'm talking about in general, Ivan, When we're in a situation, it's very hard to see the future. It's very hard to see us not in this situation. And I grew up in the 80s when we thought we were going to get wiped out by a nuclear bomb. We absolutely did. We watched Threads. We watched When the Wind Blows. We watched Failsafe and Doctor Strangelove and the Day After. And we grew up with this Red Dawn. And we grew up with this idea, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. We grew up with this idea that society was heading for, civilization was heading for collapse. Terminator, all these dystopian nightmares that were put in front of us as kids, like growing up. I know we shouldn't have watched some of them because they were for 18 certificates. Didn't mean as much as they don't now. But I know that we shouldn't have been watching them, but we were, and it was you felt it, and it made me grow up with kind of like a fatalistic mindset. I know it did. I never thought that I'd reach the age of 40. It's one of the reasons why I ran around the world trying to do everything before the age of 40. I ticked off my bucket list years in advance because I honestly didn't think I'd be here. Not because of health problems, not because I thought I was going to take myself out, but just because civilization would collapse. And one of the things I have learned from my travels and from doing all the stuff that I've done and from doing the politics that I've done, it just doesn't work that way. You just don't know. You just don't know what the future holds. So it's worth hoping and living each day as if there will be a nice future, as if the future will eventually get better. And when things do take a turn for the worse, when fucking Trump gets into power in America, there is a point where Trump won't be there anymore. He will not exist on this planet because mortality is a beautiful thing. And I can look forward to that. I can look forward to that big, beautiful day. And it might be difficult until we get to that big, beautiful day, but I still have hope. I still feel like there is reasons to be cheerful. like a latter-day Ian Jury. But yeah, we need to, avoid this doom loop that we have, not just in our societies, but in the way that we think. We're still going to be here in 10 years' time. Things will be different, I'm sure, but we'll still be here. We'll still be fighting the good fight. Maybe not like every single one of us. Obviously, mortality is a shitter, as well as being a beautiful thing in the case of Trump or Farage. But for the rest of us, it's a bit of a shitter. But in 10 years' time, our world's going to look very, very different to the way it looks now. And my hope is that even if we're going to rely on market forces, if America wants to go all regressive and make all its power through coal, which is really expensive and difficult and grimy and grubby and takes a long time and is super dangerous and costs a lot of money, I mean, fine, go be my guest, as long as at the same time China and India are embracing the green revolution, and Europe is embracing the green revolution. So yeah. Learn to stop worrying and love the bomb. Love the weather bomb. We need to tackle poverty. That's another issue. And inequality. We need relief from the cost of living. The quickest and easiest way of dealing with that would be to rejoin the EU. But I know that's not going to happen anytime soon. We need to have universal access to spaces where people mix. We need to have fair wages, which Labour, are doing their bit to try and get a more livable wage. I know that companies are whinging about this, but goddamn, they should bloody pay it. If you've got more than 5 employees, you should absolutely pay them more. Stop blaming migrants for housing shortages. The housing shortages are caused by greedy, fat men who are buying up all the properties. They're buying up 18 properties. Slumlords. That's what's causing. Private landlords have caused the housing crisis, and the fact that the Tories built about 400 houses in the whole time that they were in power. That's what's caused the housing crisis. You've got people who buy a property, Russian oligarchs buying property in Belgravia in London and not using the property. We don't have a use it or lose it law. which we absolutely should have. It's not migrants. It's not migrants taking the housing. NHS queues, it's not the fault of people coming from other countries. In fact, people coming from other countries are propping up the NHS, both with the money that they give us because they have a net gain to the exchequer. Unlike me, I'm not. I know that I've cost the exchequer more than I've ever paid in tax. I was born here. I got free university. I went to university before tuition fees came in. I'm that old. It cost the government a fucking fortune. I don't think I'm ever going to pay it back, Unfortunately, I'd love to. I'd love to pay it back. I'd be very proud. I would post my tax statements. This is how much money I've given. I think that should be an actual league, a league table of people who give loads of money to our society, our country, to make it better. But yeah, we need to make sure that whenever someone blames migrants for NHS waiting lists or housing shortages, we tackle them on it and go, no. Underfunding. Tory underfunding, mate. It's Tory underfunding. Hello. And then we've got to push Labour to regulate the online hate community, the online hate economy, call it, yeah. Force platforms like Twitter to enforce their own rules on incitement and disinformation, or they get shut down in this country. It's very easy to do. You make it so that if someone's trying to log on with a British IP, they can't get through. Of course, people can use VPNs, and no, I'm aware of that, but the vast majority of people who use Twitter will not be able to use VPNs because they won't know what they are. If Nord want to get in touch with me for a sponsorship deal, just go to my website, grahamdavidhughes.com, and give me a shout. See Dizzy Dizzle, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. I'm being evicted again so they can make more money. Oh, God, see Dizzy, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Fucking hell. Exactly. That is disgraceful. I'm sorry that's happening to you. That is really, really, really shit. So they can make more money. Yeah, exactly. We really need to get renters' rights in, but we also need to stop buy-to-let landlords. We need to stop them. We need to stop private landlords entirely. I think being a landlord is a criminal enterprise. The more I think about it, the more it annoys me. Ivan, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Some people are conceding to reform already. There is no way that I will. No, I'm not conceding to reform. Fuck off. Like I'm going to fight them. I'm going to fight them like crazy, and I'm pointing out their hypocrisy. Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to go on the BBC and point out their hypocrisy because I don't have the right contacts. Sorry, I didn't go to school with the right people. Well, Femi gets on TV quite a lot, although he did go to private school, and Gemma Forte gets on TV quite a lot. She went to private school too. Yeah, it seems like even in my group of friends, the ones that get to go on TV are the ones who benefited by going to private school. Just saying. Okay, so what was I talking about? Oh yeah, we're talking about online stuff. Yeah, so we need to treat algorithm-driven amplification of violence as a harm in law. We really need to look at that and say, if you are amplifying hatred online, that is something that we can legally do something about, which we can't at the moment because we don't have particularly robust laws against what people put on the bloody internet. And AI is not helping with this. We need to have real strong regulation against AI so people know that if they're forwarding AI slop on the internet, it's AI slop. It gets a big label on it saying this is AI slop. You might want to stop posting AI slop because did you notice Graham has defended you? I'm thinking of doing 3 strikes and you're out rule now on AI slop. If I see someone putting just a bit too much AI slop on, I'm gonna walk the other way, my friends. You can contact me through other means, I'm sure. So yes, integration and contact is what we need, not segregation. I think Ivan would really benefit from being able to meet people who are also autistic, or also on ADHD, or also as I was talking about on Sunday, having groups in local groups. I'd love to have a group in my village that I could go and sit with. ADHD Anonymous or whatever you want. We wouldn't be anonymous. Oh my God, you can't shut us up. We will overshare like motherfuckers. We'll call it the ADHD overshare community. What are they doing? Well, we're oversharing. But yeah, having things like that set up so we can go or not go. They're there if you want them, there if you don't. And just to give us in our own neurospicy community, even people to hang out with. Gamers, meeting up in real life. I think that would be a fucking fantastic idea to actually play games alongside people instead of it being played online, where you know saying horrible things online to people who are like strangers going, "I hate you, I'm gonna frag you." When you're sitting next to someone playing Super Mario Kart, it's very different from playing them online. So that stuff like that could work, you know. More cinemas. I know you don't really talk to people at the cinema; it's not a place for socializing. But community cinemas, I think, are so important. Being able to go and see the new movies, you know, in your local community, and seeing the people that you know and people from your area. And nowadays with fucking digital projectors, it's fucking cheap as chips. It used to cost tens and thousands, hundreds of thousands of pounds, millions of pounds to set up a decent movie theatre. Now you just need a few fucking fold-out chairs and a projector. £79 projector. A couple of speakers, a couple of Bluetooth speakers. But please turn the subtitles on. Thank you. Yeah, so when I talk about integration, we need policies that encourage interaction. We need more community events. Like we just had the Miners Gala here in Durham, which was fabulous and a real great community event. And they also told Refuck to fuck off, which was beautiful. We need shared projects, you know, getting involved in what's happening. There's no reason now why we can't have, you know, a website, a mailing list or whatever that says these are the things that are happening in your community, and actually pay people to do it. Have community champions. That's something that Labour could do, especially if someone's retired and they've got time. Okay, here's a part-time job for you. We're going to pay you, you know, 15 grand a year, and you're our community coordinator for your village or your town or your suburb or whatever it might be. You know, something like that. Just an idea. Shared projects, finding out what's going on, finding out there's a litter pickup, or you're going to paint a fucking wall, or you're going to do stuff to help out. Get these kids going over to America, going over to a country in Africa to paint a school. And I think that's wonderful. Well done. You know, great, you painted the school. But at the same time, I think, well, why do we do that here? Yeah, well, I'm happy to give up a Sunday afternoon to go and paint a fucking school. If loads of people turn up and you know, I don't have to pay for the paint. Yeah, I'll go and do that. What do I have to do? You have to we'll put some sheets down. You paint this wall. Okay, cool. Did you clean it first? No. Oh fuck! Now the paint's gonna peel off, dickhead. Clean it first. Anyway, and we also need to have proper consultation with the local community before asylum accommodation set up. And I know a lot of us will look at that and go, "Oh, great, you know." Do we have to? You know, people will say no. Of course, they'll say no, but at least letting people know and letting them understand why it's necessary and giving them the opportunity to meet some of the families that are going to be there would really help a bit. You know, manufacturing a situation where you get people to meet up and it involves people who are seeking asylum who can come and talk about their experiences of war or famine or pestilence or tyrannical governments. And what their journey was to get here and why they want to live in Britain. I mean, you listen to someone who's made that journey from Eritrea, all overland, all the way to the UK, and get on a little boat and come over here. Talk to them about why they wanted to come here. It's kind of, it makes you feel good about your country. It really does. Like, it makes you think, fucking hell, they actually wanted to come here. They actually think this is a good place. They actually think this place is worth a pan of Scouse. That's great. You know, it's quite affirming to know that the people who think your country is so wonderful that they will risk their life to come here. That's great. You know, in my view, I don't think any asylum seekers should be housed in hotels. I see that as very much a stopgap measure, and unfortunately, I think the Labour Party see it as a stopgap measure that they're trying to eradicate now. They're trying to get rid of that, and instead integrating people into communities from day one, like Ukrainians were accepted into communities. Because another thing is this, right? We know what's happening in Ukraine because we saw images that went on TV. We were all shocked and horrified when we saw what the Russians did in Bucha. And we all felt like, you know, we wanted to do something to help. We don't get that from Eritrea. We don't get that from Sudan. We don't get that from Yemen. We don't know what the fuck's going on there. It's hardly covered in the news. So to actually talk to people from these places, to actually find out what's happened and why they've left and what their hopes and dreams are and whether they, one day want to go back and all that kind of stuff. Having a face-to-face conversation about that I'm not going to say it won't be I don't think it's going to be a miracle. I don't think it's going to convert everyone. I'm not that naive. But I mean, a few people will go, oh, okay, I get why you want to come here. And you seem like quite a nice person. And, and that make it a celebration. Make it a celebration that someone made it all the way here. Triumphed over adversity to get to this country because they see this country as somewhere that is a good place to be, a safe place to be, a safe haven from their country. I mean, isn't it a bit awesome that people don't want to stay in France and want to come here? Really? If you think about it, that's quite cool. They're in France and they're like, no, I don't want to stay here. I want to go to Britain. Hey, how cool are we? In your face, France. I know France takes more refugees, but that's not the point. It's all in the way you tell a story. It's all stories. It's all stories. And unfortunately, the right wing are very, very good at spinning narratives and telling stories, and the left are shite at it. And we need to expose and undercut the far right narratives, their stories. We need to call out the grifters making money from division. Call out Nigel Farage for the scumbaggery that he's portrayed, he's done in the past, and the scumbaggery that he's continuing to do into the future. We need to promote accurate information rapidly when disinformation starts to spread. We need to challenge refuck and Tory scapegoating with facts and values, and we can do this. We can do this in our local communities just by having conversations with people and opening their eyes to the fact that there's other shit going on. We talked about being brainwashed early on. A lot of people are brainwashed. They've read the same newspaper for 40 years, the Daily Mail, and the Daily Mail's told them to hate foreigners. They've told them that all their problems in life were caused by the EU. They've told them that the worst thing to be is a single mom. They've told them that, if you can't afford to have kids, don't have kids. So people have stopped having children. And now they're like, oh, hang on, no one's having children. Fucking idiots. Anyway, but then, we've got people like Ivan saying, there's no way that Ivan's going to concede to refuck, and neither am I, and I don't think there's anyone watching this right now. We are going to challenge. We are going to challenge at every, opportunity. But wouldn't it be nice to have more opportunities to do that? And we need also, a national cohesion strategy. We need a sustained long-term government commitment to community building. Not knee-jerk responses like the prevent scheme and stuff like that. We need long-term commitment to that. And they need to be funded properly and rolled out everywhere, not just in problem areas. It just needs to be the norm. You don't stop a powder keg from igniting by pretending it doesn't exist, or by ignoring the fundamentals, what the actual foundation of the powder keg is. And the foundation is that for years we've been lied to by the media, by social media, by the right-wing grifters, the privately educated elite who run this country, the oligarchs, the slimy oil men, the greasy fuel men, the toxic slime men. And it's time for us to very much kick back against it. And this channel is just a small sort of cog in that machine. But we're all working together for a common goal. And the more that we support each other and the more that we support other channels doing similar stuff, the closer to a better future, we will get, because we are aware of what's going on. You might want to say we are awake to the injustices the world is facing, whether that be ethnic minorities, whether it be trans people, or whether it be working class communities and inner city areas who feel put out by the fact that they have been told lies for a long time. They're not put out by the lies. I mean, they feel put out because of lies that have been told to them about their station in life being kept down, not by the elites, not by the privately educated who do keep down our opportunities in life. Only 8% of the people working in film and TV in this country come from a working class background. 8%. That is a disgrace, Liz Truss. Not your fucking pork markets or your cheese. So I I get it. I absolutely get it, but it's got to be across the board. We need to have more community cohesion and more community hubs and a mix of people. I don't like the way that we have regeneration areas that we put all the people on social housing in. No, mix it up. Let councils build streets, not fucking cul-de-sacs, streets, right? Let's go back to basics, right? Fucking streets. The Georgians had the right idea. With nice houses, with big windows, lots of light, well insulated, with a heat pump in the back, solar panels on the roof. Fucking great. Bring it on. And you have a mix. You have some social housing, you have some private housing, where, people who can go and they can pay rent to the council, not to a private fucking landlord, not to Sheriff Fatman, but they pay it to the council because the council is their private landlord. Meanwhile, there's people next door who are in exactly the same house, same shape, same size, same everything, but they have their rent being paid for because they're on benefits, and that money goes not to a private landlord, not to Sheriff fucking Fatman, but it goes to the council so they can build more houses. But also it means that the working class kid in this house gets to play with the middle class kid next door. And one of the best things that my school did for me, and I did not appreciate it enough at the time, but it was a mix of children from all over the city. The catchment area for Liverpool went all the way to Crosby, okay, in the very, very north. That's Sefton. That's not even the metropolitan area of Liverpool. That's Sefton, all the way up to Crosby. I had friends who lived near Merchant Taylors, and then going south all the way down to Halewood, Garston area. Anywhere in that area, I had friends who lived in Knowsley. I had friends who came in from St. Helens. The whole area was covered. You could go to this school if we didn't have an exam. It was an interview that we had before we got in, and they liked it if you had lots of extracurricular activities. They liked it if you played instruments or were good at sports and stuff like that. You didn't have to necessarily be academically gifted, but the way that the 11 plus works now for grammar schools, you do have to be academically gifted. So I think it was a better system, but it meant that I had friends who were from the posh areas of Liverpool, down in, Woolton, but also the working class areas of Liverpool, like in Walton, different places. And friends from Bootle, friends from Norris Green, friends from Old Swan. And having that mix of kids made all the difference to me growing up and my eventual politics of the way I thought the world should be. And that to me is the goal for everyone, bringing these communities together. I'm that twat who when they have a party or something, they just invite all their mates. They don't have like a group of mates that they just say, okay, well, I'm going out with this group of mates. So I'll go out on a night out and on a Saturday night and invite all my different mates from all, some that I found, some that I met through video making, some that I met through university, some that I met in school. So, just whoever, some that I met through traveling. They're in Liverpool. I'll say, oh, come out. And I'll say to them, oh, well, because they'll know each other through me. And I'll say, well, when did you last see each other? And they'll be like, oh, last time we went out with you, Graham, 5 years ago. Because they're not mates with each other. But, when I go out, I just throw everyone in. And everyone has a great time. I like to imagine. Maybe not everyone. Maybe I've fucked up a few times in the past, putting people together that shouldn't have been put together. But generally speaking, it works out. And I like the idea of mixing people up from all walks of life, from all different backgrounds, from all different, ways of thinking and just, having a nice time. Just having a bloody nice time. Although I won't invite the refuckers because I hate them. But yeah, we need to absolutely challenge refuckers and the Tory scapegoating with facts and values. And we need to find ways of funding community projects and community cohesion projects everywhere, not just in problem areas. And the Tories and refuck, they want riots. They want us all at each other's throats. They want division because it justifies authoritarian crackdowns and it scares people into voting for the right wing. Social cohesion itself is an act of resistance. Just, every time you connect with someone outside your bubble, you're breaking their cycle. You're breaking the Tories, the refuckers, the Trumpers. You're breaking their MO, their grift. And collective action can work. The more we organize, the more we fight disinformation, the harder it is for that lot to light the fuse. So, I mean, have a think today about what you can do personally. And I'm going to have a think about this as well, in between plotting my trip to Bogenville in 2 years' time. Have a think about what you can do for yourself to make more connections, and also in your community, if you're able to. Get to know, maybe just go, do you know your neighbours? Maybe just go around, maybe just bake a cake. I say just bake a cake like it's easy for everyone. If you have cake baking skills, make some biscuits or just buy some biscuits from the shop. Go knock on your neighbour's door and say, hello, I thought you might need some biscuits. Everyone fucking loves biscuits. I love it. I live at number 31. Do you want to? I just want to pop round and say hello. I've lived here for years, but I've never bothered to meet the neighbours. So here I am. I mean, it's easier to do that at a community centre, isn't it, than trying to do it literally just knocking on people's doors. But got to start somewhere. Ivan, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. That's really kind of you. Thank you. I want there to come a time when politics is no longer ableist with regards to becoming an elected representative. Allow Parliament to be online, like in COVID. Allow other voting methods instead of aye and no lobbies. Yeah, Ivan, that'd be great. I mean, you're right. We definitely need that. We need it. You're right. We need it. I don't know if it's going to happen anytime soon. I have a problem with the way that Parliament is set up at the moment. I think that the Palace of Westminster is a beautiful old building. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. I like some of the traditions and some of the fact that that particular Parliament dates back hundreds and hundreds of years. I like the history. I like the history of it that's embedded in the rock. I know it burnt down in the Victorian age and they built a new one. Then it got bombed in the war and they had to build a new House of Commons. But I would like to see it turned into a museum of democracy. So people from all over the world can come and be amazed at this museum of democracy, right? And I'd like a new Parliament building, a nice one, a gorgeous one, not a concrete fucking slab. I'm fed up with concrete slabs. If you like concrete, I'm sorry, I just hate it. I can't find anything to like about it. It's horrific. It is the building equivalent to Crocs. You're never going to win me over on this. I think it's aesthetically disgusting. It's the building equivalent to smoking to me. I just find it hideous. I don't know why anyone does it. I don't know why anyone likes it. But at least with cigarettes, I guess, if people just smoke in the comfort of the discomfort of their own home, then it's away from me. I don't care. I don't have to smell the smoke. But I am forced every time I go to town to look at disgusting, horrible concrete buildings and just absolute shockers, complete fucking eyesores that have been built over the last 70 years. And it makes me feel sick. I go to Manchester. I can't be happy in Manchester. I just can't. It's a gloomy place at the best of times. I'm sorry for people who are from Manchester. But I went to uni there. I did live there for a couple of years back in 2013, 2014. Oh, no, 1 year. No, 6 months. I lived there. It felt like a couple of years. I lived in Levy. I lived in Levy. And I lived in Burnage, lived in Fallowfield. I've lived near the university. That fucking Beecham building, whatever it's called, the Beetham Tower, hanging up over there. And it does this thing where it kind of, the base bit is smaller and then it's got like a ledge that goes out and then it goes up more. And then it's got like a fence on one side of it. I can't. It's like it was built to fuck me off. Okay, so let me just tell you something, right? If I walk into a room and there is a cup, right, and it is on the, you can't see, but I've got a table here, right? You can see that, right? You can see that, right? So that's right on the edge of the table of my desk, right? If I walk in and see that, I'll ignore everything else that's going on in the room. Like, there could be a fight. There could be a dead body in the room. I would step over the dead body to move this fucking thing away from the edge, because seeing things that might fall off the edge of something is a phobia of mine. I hate it. It makes me feel, the feeling here is the same as if you look off the top of a very, very high cliff. Okay? I go into kind of like a fight or flight mode. I cannot bear to see stuff balancing precariously. I have a phobia of it. I don't know why. It's just my stupid makeup of my stupid brain, right? So when I go to Manchester and I see that fucking building that's built like this and then it goes out like this, or the buildings should taper. Buildings should mirror nature, okay? They should taper up to the top like a fucking termite mound or something. Or the pinnacles. I don't know. They should take... Anyway. Seeing this building like this little bit and then goes out like this is bad enough. But the fact there's a fence on top on only one side that was just there to create a like a whistling noise to piss off everyone who lived nearby. Because a big concrete abomination that's way taller than every other building in Manchester wasn't enough. But to put that there, I cannot relax in Manchester anymore. That building has ruined that city for me. And the arrogant fuckface motherfucker who built that twatty thing thinks he's the fucking lord of all creation, sitting on his penthouse apartment on the top, looking out over the city that he has fucked. And I hate him for it. I absolutely hate him for it. So yeah, I feel quite passionately about architecture. Anyway, build something nice. Build a nice Parliament building, which is circular, with maybe like a nice dome on top. Like it's Sir Christopher Wren and Robert Hooke used to build. Maybe a nice dome, Build a circular building so people can have a conversation. Don't make it so adversarial where it's... And don't make it so ableist. I know there's at least two disabled politicians. There's not many, but, there's a guy who has a seeing eye dog, I think. And then there's a politician, I think a Labour politician, who is disabled. But I think that's about it. And I don't think either of them need a wheelchair. I think if you're in a wheelchair, no chance in Parliament, because there's not enough seats for the 650 MPs in Parliament if they all turn up. It's very rare that every single one will turn up. I mean, it won't happen because if you're Sinn Féin, you don't turn up to Parliament. But a nice building, build it in Liverpool. Why build it in Liverpool, Graham? Because if they build it in Liverpool, everyone can get there from every part of the UK, every part of the United Kingdom, without flying. You can get from Belfast to Liverpool direct on the ferry. You can get from Scotland to Liverpool direct on the train or via the M6 and M62. You can get from Wales. It's right on the doorstep of Wales. It's only like a half-hour journey in a car to get to another country where they speak another language and have a completely different culture. It's wonderful. So yeah, Ivan... Yeah, I'd like Parliament to be rebuilt. One, so it's less ableist. And two, so it has a less adversarial architecture to it. There you go. But it's got to look nice. I'm not accepting a fucking multi-story car park like that bloody Sydney Opera House shit. God, that's a disgusting... God, that pisses me off, that building so much. It's the symbol of Australia. No, it's not. As... Uluru. That's the symbol of Australia. Big fucking red rock in the middle of the desert. That's your symbol. There you go. Mother Nature gave you that. Enjoy that. Not your bloody clitoral hood fucking ornament thing. Designed by a Dane. The inside built by a fucking committee. The inside looks like a... Have you ever been inside Sydney Opera House? It looks like a multi-storey car park. It looks like Mount Unpleasant car park in Liverpool. Except they've put like purple wool... No, sorry. was going to say wallpaper there. As if they put wallpaper on the concrete. No, they have glued carpet to the concrete to try and deaden the sound a little bit, because the acoustics in there are fucking appalling, and it's why you never get an opera at the Opera House, as far as I'm aware. Do they do operas at the Opera House? I don't know. I hear the acoustics are awful. If they do the opera at the Opera House, be prepared for shitty acoustics. So yes, social cohesion, collective action. The more we organise, the more we fight disinformation together, it is harder for them to fuck things up for the rest of us. And on that, I will shut the fuck up for a little moment. No, I won't actually. I still haven't done the papers. I realise I've been rabbiting on now for 2 hours and 14 minutes. It doesn't feel that long, but I should really have some breakfast at some point. I feel. Sydney Opera House looks like a Klingon's bell end, says Acrote. I fucking hate it. I think I wouldn't hate it so much if it wasn't so celebrated. It's like everyone just gathering round a turd and going, oh my God, look at the turd. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? And I'm like, no, this is a turd that was designed by a white Danish person from Europe, from the other side of the planet. If it was designed by an Australian Aboriginal, then I would have much more time for it. Even if it was made of concrete. Even if the roof leaked and the acoustics were shit. Like with the Sydney Opera House. Even if that was the case, I'll give it some credit. I would say, well, at least it's Australian. But I can't even say that. I'm getting people really upset now. They're like, fuck you, Graham. That's my favourite building in the world. Ivan, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. You've been very, very kind, generous today, Ivan. I really, really appreciate it, mate. Steve Darling with the guide dog and Marie Tidbull, who has no arms, but there are none with neurodiverse conditions who struggle, e.g. with being around too many people, sensory difficulties, etc. Yeah. So that's the two, isn't it? That's the two disabled MPs. Out of 650. It's not exactly representative, is it? There's no deaf MPs. And that's why there's no subtitles on films in this country. But yeah, thanks very much, Ivan. And I completely agree with you. We need to have a less ableist democracy in general. Right, I'm going to go into the papers very quickly because I know I've been rabbiting on like a crazy bastard. Sacked Greg. Oh, God, what the fuck is this? Go away. Davina, privately educated, of course. Rachel Reeves, not privately educated. That's all right. And Greg, he wasn't privately educated, but, he's still a gobshite. It does happen. There we have the Times here. And Nail-biter, England Classic, another Test Classic. England win another Test Classic. This is where they beat India, I think, yesterday. In the in the cricket. Royal Truce story there. Minister questions faith in BBC bosses over series of failures. It's Lisa Nandy there. There's the aristocrat's daughter, privately educated, of course, who murdered her own baby. She's found guilty over the baby's death. Absolute gobshite. Notice they used the mugshot for the male killer, but the female killer gets a sort of glamour picture that she took herself of her and her child, which she killed because she's a fucking monster. New grant to push sales of electric cars for net zero. That's what I was talking about. That's when I went off on my tangent about electric cars. Government offering up to £3,750 towards new EV vehicles. Fucking fantastic news. Obviously, I was going to talk about it when we came to this, but we've already covered it, so it's all right. Won't go over it again. Aristocrat and rapist boyfriend guilty of killing newborn baby. One of the things that wasn't revealed before the case was that her boyfriend had been put into jail, I think, for rape. And also there was other charges that weren't mentioned in the trial because they didn't want to prejudice the jury. England clinched dramatic third test over India at Lords there. Next tax raid will pick the pockets of the grafters. Fuck off. Most of the people who read the Daily Mail are retired. But tell us more about the graft that you don't do anymore. Talking of people who don't do much graft, there's the Queen there. Picture of her holding a dog. Woman holds dog. Front page news. Front page news. So important they had to put that on the front page of their newspaper. Woman holds dog. There you go. Well, I suppose it beats woman wears fucking hat. The killer aristocrat from our unrivaled team of crime reporters, the definitive issue. in a case that defies belief. It does not. If you know anything about the aristocracy, you'll know that they are. Thank you, you're the best, to Paula Thomas there for the £2 super chat. Anne Begg, an MP until 2015 and a wheelchair user. Yeah, I mean, but people can come into the side, and obviously they would have made space for her to be there, but it's not set up. It's really not set up for ease of access, and it's not just getting into the House of Commons. I mean, there are lots and lots of there's lots of rooms in the Palace of Westminster, and yeah, it doesn't make it easy anyway. Thank you for the super chat. That's very kind of you. Okay, so the killer aristocrat revealed why daughter of privilege had 4 children taken into care because she was a fucking nightmare. That's why, and I hope she goes to jail for the rest of her fucking miserable life. We got the Guardian here. How to find delicious vegan food on holiday. Great, good. Go find some good. That actually does look very good. That does look delicious. As someone who's not a vegan, but I'm partial to vegetarian and vegan food. Trump-ish. I'm just partial to food, to be honest with you. Just make me nice food. That's all I ask. Trump issues warning to Putin as he does deal with NATO to arm Kyiv. And then we've got here Lords win. Lords win England's thriller. Woo. England win Lords thriller. They won by 22 runs. Which is nice. And there you go. Reeves to slash red tape for city firms. Rachel Reeves will claim that cutting red tape for city firms will have trickle-down benefits for the UK households. I hate the term trickle-down. The term trickle-down always reminds me of it. I think it's a sky. I can't remember whether it was Alas Smith and Jones, which I think it was, or whether it was Hale and Pace, or whether it was Naked Video. I don't know, but it always reminds me. There was a sketch in which there was a guy in a bunk bed, and basically, I don't know what the situation was. I think he was having a dream, and he was like dancing in a fucking waterfall or something. I don't know whatever the dream was. And he was all like happy, and he's all happy and dancing in the rain or whatever it was. And then it cuts to the fact that he's asleep in a bunk bed, and the guy above him has pissed himself, and the piss is dripping through onto the guy underneath's face. That's what I think of when I hear the term trickle down. So whoever did that comedy sketch, first of all, fuck you for like keeping that image in my head 40 years on. But at the same time, that's what I think of when I think of trickle down economics. I just think, oh, so is that where they piss themselves and the piss trickles down and from their bunk to yours? Okay. Trickle down only applies to urine, says Alan. Yeah, maybe the word trickle. Did we ever use the word trickle unless we're talking about piss? I went for a piss, but it was just turned out like trickle. Anyway, so I'm going to move on then. Parents convicted over the death of newborn. Disgraceful behaviour. Oh, and they've got another glamour picture of the socialite killer with 4 children. Why are they using a picture of her on holiday? They should just be using their fucking mugshot. Fuck off. Superb Stokes is the captain England's been waiting for. Trump threatens China over Russian oil. President warns of 100% tariff unless Putin agrees to end war within 50 days. Look. We're going to take this with a pinch of salt path, okay? It's good that Trump is now saying that we actively need to give Kyiv weapons, right? Awesome. Good. Thanks. Finally, twat. It took a bit too long, but he got there in the end. The 50 days thing is bullshit. Putin knows Trump always chickens out. Putin's not going to change. Putin's not going to do fuck. He's not going to do fuck. I'd be absolutely amazed if he pulls out of Ukraine at this point, because if he pulls out of Ukraine, you got to understand this. He's dead. If he pulls out of Ukraine, he is dead. So how can he pull out? He can't. He just actually can't. That's why I don't think he ever will. If he has an unfortunate accident with a window, yes, there is a chance that Russia will pull out totally, entirely, with the pressure from the US and other countries. But Putin, he ain't going to do it. He ain't going to do it. There is only one way that the war in Ukraine is going to end, and that's when Putin is in a box. Or what's left of Putin is in a box. Ban trans women or face court, Sport told. Oh, fucking great. Women's sport that, these transphobes care about so much that they're totally watching the Women's World Cup, the Women's Euros at the moment. They're totally watching that. They're really, really into it, because they really love women's sport. Yeah. Women's sport have been told they will face action if they fail to ban trans players. Fucking disgraceful. Fucking absolutely disgraceful. It's cackling little twats like that. Sharon Davies, privately educated, of course, and that J.K. Rowling woman. Is she a woman? Who knows? Davey admits BBC failures over Gaza film. I mean, fucking hell. They're making a lot out of this. How come they don't make so much about the fact that the members of the Knesset in the parliament over there in Israel who are actively saying they want to murder babies, murder children, because they'll only, these are the words they used, only grow up to be Hamas. Yeah. Mugshots, good. Use the fucking mugshots. Guilty aristocrat and her lover who killed newborn on the run. Fucking scum. Put him in jail forever. Talking of going to jail forever, the Sycamore Gap 2 have been are getting their sentencing today. So we'll find out what will actually happen. It's a really good article today on the BBC about the deforestation of the UK. We used to be one of the most forested areas in the whole of Europe, and now we are one of the most deforested areas. The average for forest cover in Europe is about 33%, and we're on about 17% because we've knocked down all our trees for fucking, I don't know, grouse shooting. And maybe the Sycamore Gap story is something where we can actually change things for the better. Something good will come out of it, make us think more about our relationship with woodlands and getting out there and planting more stuff. Something we can do as a community. There's a community building project for you. Plant some fucking trees. We can plant a load of trees around here because half of them fucking fell down in the storms a couple of years ago when the wind blew in the wrong direction. Financial Times, Trump threatens 100% trade levies if Russia does not end war in 50 days. And can BYD leave Tesla in its rear view mirror here at the top? Yes. The battle to stay ahead at the AI tsunami. I think that's more to do, well, it should be more to do with legislation, regulation of AI. Investment banking set to extend lean streak as trading desks milk volatility. That's, I don't really know what that means. But there you go. We are the champions. And that's Trump getting in the shot and them saying, can you fuck off, please? We're trying to take the pictures here. Confused Cole Palmer. What is Trump doing? Like, what is he doing? Why does he need to be in the picture? Donald Trump did a John Terry by gate crashing Chelsea's club World Cup celebrations. He even keeps the trophy while they get a replica. Fucking Trump. What an almighty gobshite. And arrogance and monster parents, aristocrat and rapist guilty of killing babies. Such a fucking horrible story that. So we'll move away from that. And we will say thank you to Paula for another £10. Thank you, Paula. Woo! Thank you. The social status goes some way to explaining their extraordinary behaviour in court, including a note to the judge asking if they could pop out for a cup of coffee. Yeah. I think actually looking into the details of their behaviour in court and her absolute insane privilege, like to just the nth degree, and her disconnection with the real world speaks volumes about the rarefied air that these motherfuckers breathe, that these aristocrats breathe, because they are some of the worst examples of human beings in this country, and they get away with it because they don't mix with anyone from any other walk of life. And when they do, maybe shit like this happens because these people are broken. But you know what? There's only a few of them. There's what, 1,000 aristocrats in this country, if that. There's not that many. There's a lot more of us. There's a lot more people who aren't aristocrats, who aren't completely fucked in the head through years of inbreeding, and privilege. Just being able to do whatever you like and just saying, "Oh, why do we buy out for a cup of tea?" She didn't live in the real world. She lives in fucking La La Land. The same La La Land that Boris Johnson lives in. The same La La Land that Trump lives in. The same La La Land that Nigel Farage lives in. People who don't believe the rules apply to them. And then on the one day, the rules do apply to Loser Fox, privately educated motherfucker, he loses his fucking mind because he's asked politely to wear a fucking face mask during a fucking pandemic. What a gobshite. Anyway, right, so there you go. We need to do more to build communities and plant trees. Could have said that a lot quicker, but, it took me an hour and a half to get here. So, I'm going to head off now. Thank you so much for the super chats. It's been absolutely phenomenal today. Ivan and Sarah and Damien, particularly Andrew with the £100 bloody hyper chat and the mega chats that came in from Rosie and Plum Duff. Thank you so much. Paula Thomas, SG, Draconic threw some money in there as well. Ivan, thank you, mate. Really, thank you so much. See Dizzy Dizzle, and Die and others. Thank you. I can't express my gratitude because you keep this channel going. You really, really do, and I really, really appreciate it. And as a little thank you, I will be back at 7:30 tonight with Geoscope with Ollie Bowler Hatman. So please join us for that. We'll be talking about the daftest, maddest, and most infuriating news stories from around the world and letting you know what's going on in places other than the UK and America, or at least we try. Sometimes we have to talk about America because it's affecting other countries in the world. I wish America First meant they'd just stop pissing around, upsetting other countries. How about America First means, literally, we just look at America. That's all we do. How about that, eh? Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be a beautiful day? A big, beautiful day. You know it's coming. I know it's coming. It's nice to have something to look forward to. Give me a like on the way out if you'll be so kind. And until next time, I'll say thank you for watching. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.